Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Thursday morning. Couple of big stories this morning. Always a big story whenever the Jazz play, and there were lots of interesting things in that game last night. We'll get to that. And obviously a very interesting story, big story with BYU here. Parker Kingston, leading, expected to be the number one receiver on the team this coming year, is facing a court date tomorrow. He has been arrested, charged with sexual assault, with rape, he's being held without bail. BYU issued a short statement that didn't say much other than they didn't know about it. And, said they didn't know about the arrest until it was made public. Whatever anybody knew about the incident or the possibility of this happening, that wasn't really addressed. Court date tomorrow. Maybe we'll learn more. Not a lot known right now. So we'll see where that goes, and we'll see. I guess there's multiple paths that this could take going forward. But first off, we'll see where this goes in the court system. And then as far as the Jazz game, we'll get to the Best of the Jazz post-game show coming up. The Kings sat 6 players. They're not good in the first place, but when they sit 6 of their top 7 scorers, we all know what's going to happen. The Jazz are going to win big, and they did. We'll take a break. We'll come back. Tim LaComb is talking hoops. We'll get to the Jazz post-game show. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s first press conference in Utah. It's coming up later this hour. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Utah Jazz won last night before they destroyed Sacramento, which I think we all expected when we had Tim LaComb on yesterday, but it hadn't happened yet. We talked with Tim quite a bit about where things are headed and all the charges of tanking. Pretty interesting that after that the Jazz won, and Markkanen, who was initially out on the injury report, was back in, and the Kings sat 6 of their top 7 scorers, figuring, well, everybody's going to look at the Jazz. Nobody's going to say anything about us. I guess it's better if they don't play at all than if they play, half the game or 2/3 of the game or whatever. Here's Tim LaComb with PK and I in the zone. Former BYU assistant basketball coach, worked for Rick Majerus at the U, and now on the Jazz pre-half and post-game shows. Tim, good morning.
I think you should add to that Aggie fill-in with Scotty Gerard.
Now that you've called a game in Logan.
I was in Logan last night. It was awesome. I try to get up there as, for a game most years. I didn't last year, but Spencer was gone, and I filled in. It was a packed house and basically a pretty demonstrative win by the Ags.
I was talking with Scotty about this, doing a hit on his show, and they've had a number of coaches run through there as they go on to get higher paying jobs. And when I watch the Aggies play, I believe that of the ones that they've had recently, I can make a strong argument that Calhoun is the best, the way he gets his team to play. They're a fun team to watch. I don't know what's going to happen if he's going to receive big money offers, but in my mind, he is runaway coach of the year in the Mountain West.
Totally agree with all that. I had a chance to watch him, I should say work, but it was run. The dude's got crazy energy up and down the sideline, certainly really passionate, but his teams, what I look for is, you can tell a lot about a coach by the way his teams play, and they're detailed, they're intense, very intense, and they share the ball. Like it's second nature. They had 6 or 7 possessions last night where they could have easily taken a shot, and they just made the extra pass for an easier one. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think he does a great job, and it was awesome to be up there to watch his team play.
There's a little bit of a debate in college basketball right now, watching Darren Peterson miss half the games, and watching BYU, who's got A.J. DeBonsa, who's really, really good, but I think everybody around the Cougar program wishes they had a little more depth right now. If you're building a team going forward, as soon as, next year or two, would you rather have one? The question I saw posed was, would you rather have a $3 million player in Peterson, if that is indeed his number, or 3 $1 million players who are all bought in? If you were building a team, Tim, and you're not, you're doing Jazz pre, half, and post, but if you got hired and build a team, which way would you go?
Well, the correct answer in that regard is every guy's going to go with the better player and feel like they can change him, right? They feel like they can make him what he needs to be, or, bring out what you need as a coach. But the reality is, I think there's probably somewhere in the middle. And I think this NIL process is interesting because everybody just instantly went to pools they couldn't fish in prior, and I used to look at recruiting like pools and, streams where you go fish. And you've got to have the places you get your, where you get your haul. And, you meet new people and they introduce you to new things. And but at the end of the day, I think rosters need to be thoughtfully constructed. And I think in the early era of NIL, it's been like, oh, wait, we can get him too? Sweet. Throw him in, I think there needs to be more thought given to roles because basketball is a team sport that depends on guys to do their job. And the biggest fight you have as a coach is to get guys to do their job. That's what you're doing all the time. So it just makes sense to me that you would bring guys in specific to some of the roles that you need.
You're going to be in the Marriott Center Saturday night?
I am. Yes, I am.
Yes, I thought you might be. They're retiring Jimmer Fredette's jersey and all that number, and go back. And that was an unbelievable time to see what he did. And you were right there. You were courtside for all that stuff. And did you guys, when did you know, wow, or did you even know it? Did it have to happen? Because what a story that was.
It really was, man. And honestly, I was fortunate because I came in his freshman year. So, his first year there was my first year there. And, we as a staff certainly knew he was talented, but his freshman year, he didn't start a game. So
he started the second half against Texas A&M in the NCAA tournament, though. In Anaheim.
Which caused all sorts of issues, but that's a whole other story.
I was there.
Okay. No, but I think the other thing is, that's what's beautiful about Jimmer's story. There wasn't anything contrived. There wasn't anything predetermined. It all kind of happened. And in a day and age where a guy shows up, in college and he's expecting a big check in 40 minutes a game as a freshman, that's not how this thing works. You got to go earn it. And, so the cool part is Jimmer went through that. And then after year one, didn't have a bone in his body that talked about transferring. He came in with Coach, and I'll never forget, Coach called me in after the meeting, and he's like, Jimmer came in here with a list of things. He wants to be our point guard next year. These are the things he wants to do. So it was all proactive stuff, not reactive. And then really, it was his junior year when, I guess one of his first games was his sophomore year in San Diego. He had a big second half, and we came back from a huge deficit to beat them. And then Arizona stands out his junior year where he went crazy, and we had all those guys in the Ryan Hatch Fiesta Bowl jackets in tears because we just demolished their beloved Bears, Bear Down boys. And then certainly it all came to a head in Jimmer Mania, right? And pulling up to hotels, seeing literally 500 people in the portico of the hotel waiting to get something signed and having to sneak Jimmer off the back of the bus, So it's just awesome memories. But as good as Jimmer was, guys, the team was that good too. Like Jackson and Emery made it possible for Jimmer to be Jimmer. No hard sock. You go down the line, everybody was bought in. And, that's why Jimmer was great, and that's why the team was great.
It's funny you mentioned those guys, and Dave Rose always talked about program guys, and you're always trying to get guys to get in a program and then over the course of 3 or 4 years really develop into something. I don't think any of the 4 guys you mentioned made a big splash early on in their career. Maybe Emery did because he could defend, so maybe I'm not remembering it right. But I'm curious in this era how much space there is for that. Because there isn't money for everybody and money to develop a whole roster. And I'm curious what these coaches are doing in this regard. And maybe you just buy 8 players every year, and then that's just the way it's going to work for the top 100 teams that if they're not in the NCAA tournament, they're at least competing for it, 1 or 2 times every 3 or 4 years. And I'm wondering if go get your starters and you got your subs, but the other spots that are on the roster – what about development guys? And what about the programs at the top? I hate to say developing minor leagues, but, you're talking to guys who went to UCSB in northern Arizona, so we kind of know our place in the universe here. But saying to high school kids, hey, here's 5 guys you can go play for that will develop you, and we will look at you when you're sophomores and juniors. I've already been watching you for 2, 3, 4 years. I'm not going to stop. The door's open. This is how college basketball works now. There is a considerable amount of angst around the sport, especially here where people used to watching local kids go to local schools, about how those kids are getting shut out. And coaches can get pushback on that. And I'm wondering if this is a way to, A, manage the situation, and B, develop guys so you don't have to pay everybody top dollar coming off the market. You're going to pay them something. What do you think about that whole process? Because with these new rules, everybody's got to figure it out. And I think Utah State is kind of going down this road, and it makes sense to me.
Well, what I think, Calhoun was pretty thoughtful. There have been a lot of really good teams through the history of Utah State. And what's crazy as I sat there last night is they have not messed with the formula that made them great. What this has allowed them to do is maybe go out and get a little higher level top tier player. But like the makeup of that team, you got a kid who is beloved, right? Local kid who's beloved, and Mason Balsla. You've got Drake. You got Drake, point guard. You got and then you've got
Templin's in his 3rd year in the program.
Templin, Carson. That's who I was thinking of. Carson Templin's from Dallas. They've had a guy like Templin. I mean, go down the list. Just a rugged, big, of varying ability, but just plays their butt off. Brady Jardine through the years, Justin Bean. I saw Gary Wilkinson last night. I mean, so what I'm saying is I think Utah State was at least gave the model of success there some play. And I think everybody else has just been like, oh, my gosh, we can go get a 3-star for $1 million on the end of our bench. Boy, that's exciting. And to me, you're missing the mark. Development, I'm watching it in the NBA. I watch a guy like Colin Gillespie for 2 years just bust his tail an hour before the game with workout guys. And lo and behold, guess what? Given the opportunity, the guy was ready, and he's playing great basketball in the NBA. I think you can do the same thing, and I think it's efficient. If you want to be efficient and not just throw money all over the place. And it brings in relative. Like, it's hard for me sometimes to watch local teams play when they don't have any local guys on the team. Like, and I know that sounds stupid, but I do think to get people bought in, all the way interested, I think there's going to be some tweaking for sure.
The Jazz there with that unique form of tanking the other night, not playing the guys in the 4th quarter, going with the kids, has been the rage of talk in pundits and talk shows and whatnot. And I think the Jazz should just thumb their nose at these people and continue, in fact, even be more of a way to tank, because there's too much at stake and no one's going to help you. You got to do it yourself, and this is the way to go. Your response to all this outrage that seems selective.
It is selective, PK, and it's ridiculous. The number of teams I've seen through the years tank in big markets, and nobody's said a thing other than, wow, what if they get this guy? It's a little bit rich for my blood, and I do think it's probably more driven for clicks. They want somebody to pick on. But at the end of the day, if you look at what the Jazz are doing, it's pre-training camp, and they've got 30-plus games to tinker and to try lineups and to let guys, who've never finished games, and to get the new guys acclimated to Utah. So, the league can think what they want, and obviously by taking those guys out the first night, they lost. The second night, they won. So, deal with it, I guess, is my point. We're close to the end. This would be like penalizing drivers, the 100th driver in Utah that tailgates me, like right now. People don't know how to drive here. But, they should get an opportunity. I just think at the end of the day, this whole thing is fabricated for clicks. And Jazz, keep your head down to what you're doing. Because, at the end of the day, through this whole process, you developed a whole lot of guys.
Okay, so I think that's a problem here over the last 28 games. There's a quarter of the Jazz schedule left against teams that are truly awful, right? The Kings, the Pelicans, the Pacers, Wizards, Nets. There's some really bad teams out there. And there's some other teams who are maybe have a little more hope, but I don't think Dallas and Memphis are going to sprint to the finish line. I'm not convinced the Bucks and Bulls will either. If they're sitting guys in Sacramento, it looks like they're going to sit pretty much everybody that any fan going to the game could name, right? Sabonis isn't playing. Westbrook isn't playing. They're sitting 5 or 6 guys. Back to your point about player development. You've watched Ace Bailey work. You've watched Collier work. You've watched Sensabaugh work. I think these teams that are coming in, combined with the guys that they're going to sit, I think those 3 guys can win games down the stretch that the Jazz do not want to win if they're going to hold on to that draft pick. I think that they're going to need to sit these guys in the final 28 games. Am I up in the night?
We're actually working on an initiative at the Jazz. It's join DJ and PK as 3 other starters for the Jazz for a 10-game contract. And we're going to roll you guys out there with 3 listeners, and we're going to see what we can do as an organization to protect the pick.
Okay.
No, I hear you. And it is. It's something that definitely is a game within the game, but at the end of the day, you've got Danny Ainge, Austin Ainge, those guys running things. And I would assume it probably wouldn't go to the length of DJ and PK and TLC in the starting lineup, but maybe something close to that by the end. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, they have no choice, man. If they run out their guys and play them 30 minutes a game, they got 28 games? They're winning 14 of them at least.
And my favorite part of that, I have had to sit through the last 3 or 4 years, just constantly barrage how bad the Jazz draft picks are, and how they can't do this or they can't do that. And again, it comes back to development, which is real, which has taken place here, and that's why this is even a discussion, because these guys have raised their level year after year, and that is going to be a good problem to have when the cellophane is off the top of the rim and we can actually shoot to score.
Yeah. It's coming.
Tim, we appreciate it as always.
You two guys, there was a movie that was popular in the video stores as a kid. I was too young because it was rated, but it was called Officer and Gentleman, and I think you two are both.
I actually saw that movie.
I would walk by that section and kind of peek over to see what's the stuff my mom doesn't. An Officer and Gentleman. The cover wasn't too. I was like, man, it's just the military. Why can't I watch that?
Yeah, there's a fight scene in a boxing ring. I haven't got anywhere else to go. People who saw the movie, they know the line.
Deborah, what was her name?
Deborah Winger.
Deborah
Winger was the love interest. Yeah. Deborah
Winger.
There was. I have to say that your mom made the right decision. That was probably inappropriate for a lad of your young years to have seen some of the issues.
Wasn't Deborah Winger our gal in Footloose?
Was she?
Or am I thinking wrong?
I don't know.
55, so the wires have crossed at one point or another. I don't. But the reason I say that is I'm driving past Lehigh Roller Mills right now.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah.
So give Footloose a shout out. I was a little kid when Paramount trucks pulled up into American Forks, Utah, right down on Main Street, and they filmed at the church and the house across the street. I had no idea what was going on, but it was really, really neat for that to happen in a small Utah town.
I thought Deborah Winger was the looking for love in all the wrong places gal.
I'm sure she was, but I don't know what that has to do with the movies.
Well, Urban Cowboy.
I think she was an Urban Cowboy.
Wasn't she
I never saw that, but I think she was.
She was the premier lead actress, wasn't she?
This is something no one knows. Dave Rose's wife, Cheryl, was an extra in that show when he rode the horse out. I don't know, at one point or another, but she was in that movie as an extra.
In Looking for Love, or whatever it was called.
Yeah, Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places with Robert Redford.
Urban Cowboy.
Urban Cowboy. It was down in St. George. They filmed a scene, and she was in it.
I thought I recognized
So there
him.
you go. Another movie trivia. What can I do while I'm going 75 and trying to avoid idiots?
Well,
on the
I was
road?
in a car scene in Chips once.
No way.
You don't know this story? Tell it, PK. It's a classic.
Dude, Ponch and John were like my running mates as kids.
Yes. We are in the city of San Fernando, which is in the San Fernando Valley over there in Los Angeles. And I'm sitting with my college roommate. I'll tell you who he is off the air. And he has this yellow Nova. And he's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. And it's a 2-lane to turn left. And I look to my right next to me, is freaking Ponch and the other guy. And they're dressed up in their whole...
Ponch and John, come on.
It's really funny. It's a crazy story. Yeah, I mean, they're literally right next to me. I could talk to them, right? And it took me a second, like, are they filming a scene? And then I look, and yeah, then I see we go to make the left-hand turn, and as we're making the left-hand turn, the cameras are there. So they're filming it live, and it was an actual scene. I never watched the show because I think it came on Saturday nights, and, you know, my junior year at ASU on Saturday nights.
On, man. Yeah.
He was pre-med.
But I went over to my sister's house like in December. The semester was over, and it's a Saturday night, and she's got Chips on, and that was the very episode that came on, and I saw us in the Yellow Nova getting ready to make the left-hand turn. So I was in Chips.
Now, the only thing that make that story better if it was a Champagne Supernova, and then we'd have it made. But good work, BK. You know what? You've been around greatness as long as I've known you.
Drove through a scene with Ponch and John.
How random, I guess is the word, I don't know, would that have been? That literally happened.
Jake's sitting back there saying, let's take the break.
That's what he said. He just said, let's wrap. Literally, those are his last. Let's wrap.
And you know what? I love that guy, by the way. Jake Hatch is a national treasure.
International.
So just want to get that out there.
There it is. All right, thanks, Tim. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, I love you guys.
All right, there is Tim LaComb. When we come back, the best of the postgame show and Jaren Jackson Jr.'s first press conference. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Thursday morning. The Utah Jazz beat the Kings last night. Day started with Jaren Jackson Jr. meeting with the media for the first time. And let's start right there. Here is Jaren Jackson Jr. Sitting down and answering questions about his move to Utah.
Yeah, I mean, the first couple of days I wasn't even with them. They were on the road, and I was able to go to Salt Lake with Jitty and Vince, and we're kind of just, taking it all in and getting our minds right. But, after that, meeting them in Orlando and Miami, it's been a lot of fun. I mean, you guys know them better than me, but they just seem like great guys, and they play together as a unit, and they, it's just been a great experience, made me feel welcome, everything.
You've played against this team for 8 years. You've played in this arena. What do you think it's going to be like when the fans kind of greet you and give you your official welcome to Utah?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be loud every time I've come here. It's never been quiet. A lot of energy all the time. So, yeah, I think I'm mainly excited for that, to have it on my side a little bit. Usually you're anticipating it, trying to work through it as an opponent, but, now it's with me.
The Jazz obviously acquired you, not just for this season, with an eye toward the future. How do you feel like you kind of fit in terms of your skill set? What do you feel like your role on this team is going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I feel like I'm versatile. I feel like I can do a lot of things, and this system is a different offense than anything I've played in before. But it's something that I think teams and me in particular not have had trouble guarding, but definitely locked into guarding. I think it's a system with a lot of movement, especially offensively, and I think I can bring a lot to the table. Learning more about it every day, I learn a little bit more. So, asking me right now about it is a little bit tough, but I'm still learning like a couple things every day that would be unique to me in the system that's going to help me.
What's it like playing alongside Larry? I mean, he has a lot of size. He's weapon on offense.
Yeah. I mean, there's not much he can't do on the floor, which definitely helps everybody on the team. And I think just being a threat from everywhere, you can't go under. When he puts the ball on the floor, you have to respect him. You know, when you're driving at him, you have to kind of make a choice, stay home, or it's kind of lights out with him. So, you know, it's been crazy to play against him for this many years and seeing him improve. And then, you know, at this point in our careers playing with each other, I think it's nice.
There's kind of been a lot of talk league-wide about you guys sitting in the fourth quarters of the last couple games. I'm curious, how do you feel about it?
I mean, as a player, you always want to be out there, but you know, if you're out in the first quarter, out in the second quarter, third or fourth, I mean, you just have to make an impact when you're in the game. That's what you have to focus on. If you focus on when you're not out there, you know, you're gonna struggle as a player. If you're a rookie, a young guy, you wanted to play in the first half and you didn't, or whatever, you play in the third, like all that comes into play, man. You have to. This is my 8th year, so stuff getting thrown at me. I feel like I have enough experience to, you know, be mentally capable through anything.
You know, when you look at where you started in this league, you know, kind of as a teenager, and now you're, what, 26, 27?
What am I? Something like that, right?
Something like that.
26, yeah.
But, you know, you're rounded into the prime of your career. I mean, you know, what's that journey been like for you? You know, starting out so young in Memphis and honestly going to a franchise. You know, obviously the geographic part is different, but you know, a lot of similarities between the franchise that you're going to as opposed to the one you're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's been feels like 3 years, but it's been 8, and yeah, I'm blessed to be able to be here like this. You know, people who get closer and closer to a decade in a year, that's special. You're in rare company at that point, and you know, there's so many people I could give credit for helping me get to this point. But yeah, I'll probably save that for a speech down the line or something. But I just, you know, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed for everything that's happened to me up to this point. Everybody who's believed in me and helped me work on my game and trusted in me. And I feel like I've gotten better every year, and I want to continue that no matter how old I get, you know. So, yeah.
You know what it's like to be on a playoff team, playoff contender. Maybe not this year, but where do you see the trajectory of this team? Do you think this team with a full season, full off season with these guys, this could be a playoff team as early as next year?
100%. I mean, my goal is to come here and, you know, win a championship here. So I don't really think my mind is geared toward anything else. That's just kind of the mentality that I have. And then when you look at who we have, like, I really like what I see.
You mentioned getting better every year. This staff prides himself on player improvement. What's your relationship been like with Will? We saw you out there talking with him after shoot around, but it's early. But what do you think about him and the coaching staff? Yeah,
I mean, our relationship started like hour 2, you know, so he's probably the second person I talked to when I got back to my house on the phone, you know, after seeing everybody and my own staff and everybody else. And it was a whirlwind at first for sure, but, you know, they had a game that day, and we had a game that day. And I was talking to him just about how the day is going, honestly. But right now, you know, it's a lot of X and O's, how he sees me in certain systems, and I'm just learning terminology, the plays, different options, different reads. And then I'm kind of shooting ideas that I've had about certain things and just how we approach, you know, practice and the games, and it really comes from a lot of me asking questions to learn about what they were doing before I was here. So yeah, you know, we're talking about everything. Great relationship.
At 26 and 8 years in the league, you're a younger coach. How would you describe your leadership style?
I like to lead by example. I think being year 8, like, the league's getting younger and younger, and everybody's just kind of like, like these guys are young. So I think just leading by example, my work ethic, and that's kind of like the main thing, being vocal, especially defensively. I think that's where you really can make your mark. If I were to give advice to somebody for anything, to really make your mark defensively, because that's where you can be the most vocal. Offensively, you can talk offensively, but there's a lot more moving around, a lot more things you got to focus on. But if you can disrupt the other team with your voice and communicate to the guards and communicate to anybody, that's going to mess up your opponent. It's going to help us. So, yeah, just being vocal.
Looking at next year, you won't see it this year, of course, but playing with Walker Kessler might be one of the better defensive centers you played with. You might be at your best at a roaming four kind of role defensively. Are you excited for that pairing with him?
Yeah, I mean, I've played with Walt before in USA, so I know what he brings to the table, and he's hard to score over. So I'm glad I'm on this side of it, and I'm glad, they're going to see me, they're going to see him, they're going to have to make choices. That's what it's really all about, making the other team make choices and giving our team a ton of them.
Curious what your perception of Utah was and the Jazz organization as an outsider for 8 years, and is there anything different that you've learned since the short time you've been here?
I think, everybody's pretty nice. I think it's a very, I don't know if it's a homey kind of vibe when you're driving around. It feels pretty homey. I don't think I got out the hotel much when I was. Well, actually, that's not true. I've been here for All-Star, Summer League. I was here. I know about Park City. I know, it's beautiful views. I used to come here to ski when I was younger with my mom. So, yeah, I do kind of know. I don't think when I was younger I was paying much attention, but yeah, I think we're selling out games. I think just the fan engagement and everybody just being happy, and the reception I've already gotten has been great. So I really appreciate that. That goes a long way for me. And it was hard to breathe. So I'm glad to get that on my side too and get adjusted to that. So everybody else got to deal with that.
Knowing that you and Lowry are playing together, you guys are unique as the 7-footers who play outside in, both shoot the ball, both on the floor. If just curious, if you were having an out-of-body experience and you had to guard two of those guys, how would you do that as an opponent?
Two of who? Me and him? Oh.
Yeah, 2 7-footers who play like that on the same team, kind of simultaneously. How would you deal with that, and what's that going to be like, kind of being on that side of it?
It's a blessing to be on this side of it. How would I guard it? You just got to make stuff difficult. We're NBA players. That's how I would approach guarding other talented NBA players. You can't just expect to take away every single thing. You have to make life difficult and force them into stuff that's uncomfortable time after time, so they get tired and they just do stuff they don't want to do. And yeah.
All right, there's Jaren Jackson Jr. They had the media availability in the morning, and then they went out and destroyed the Kings, who sat 6 of their top 7 scorers. DeMar DeRozan had to play. I don't know how he drew the short straw, but he had to play. The Jazz blew the game open in the first period, and it was a joke of a game the whole way. And they pick up win number 18 on the year, one more than they had last year. Let's get to the best of the postgame show.
Your Jazz recap on DJ and PK. It's JP Chunga of the Utah Jazz Podcast Network. Well, it was not a contest. In Jaren Jackson Jr.'s home debut, the Jazz destroyed the Kings 121-93. Triple J finished with 23 points on 8 of 13 from the field to lead his squad. Pretty predictably, he was the main subject of Will Hardy's postgame comments.
It was a great win. I thought the team was really focused for the most part, start to finish. Did a good job protecting the paint again. It's been a theme lately, and it's allowed us to play in transition a little bit more than we have been, which has been good for us. And then I think, the group is doing a really good job of playing off of each other. Again, Jaren is starting for us. It's a lineup that we haven't played with. He's playing with people he hasn't played with. They're trying to get used to him, and I feel like the guys are making a lot of good decisions, and it's making us very efficient. I like the spirit of the team right now. I think they're really focused, and I thought we executed on both sides of the ball. It was a good win.
Is there something you're trying to emphasize with these fourth quarter lineups that you want to see from the guys specifically?
They're being coached the same as everybody else. We want to protect the basket and be physical. Offensively, we still continue to play a lot of off ball. So we've got to help each other create the advantage and keep the ball moving. Tonight we end up with 34 assists, which obviously is something that we're always going to be proud of. We want to play a style where everybody's involved.
Do you think there are things Isaiah, Cody Bryce, Kyle can learn from kind of Vince and John and Jaren coming in and kind of maybe those guys being used to having more of a defensive presence?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot to learn. I think there's a lot to learn from those guys in terms of their communication defensively. I think all three of those guys are great communicators, and they're physical. They're in the right spot a lot. They get to the spot early. And then on the flip side, I think that those guys are adapting to a little bit of a different style offensively, and I think that they can learn from some of the guys that are here in terms of some of the reads that we can make and some of the positions for us offensively and what the advantages of those can be. Like I've said to you guys before, we as a staff are learning about our team, and we're all learning about the new guys. We're trying to take them all three at face value and try to understand their skill sets and how they can best help us.
Jaren had a good game tonight. How does he help elevate your team?
Yeah, I mean, it would be a much shorter conversation to discuss the ways he doesn't elevate our team. I mean, he's a very efficient offensive player. He can do it both inside and out. I told Jaren that I think the thing that I've appreciated the most about him offensively is how he uses the three-point line. I think he has a good ratio right now. He's not just launching threes. I think he's a capable shooter, but his physicality and his touch around the basket's really good for us defensively. Size, length, and elite communication. He's helping us in a variety of ways. He's taking the pressure off of the other guys in some ways, and I also think that they're taking the pressure off of him. I think that's where he and Lowry are going to get talked about a lot, and rightfully so, but I think that Nurk playing with those guys, the size of all three of them, they help each other in a bunch of different ways, so I think he's fitting into the group really well.
Between the third and fourth quarter, Keontae went and got Jaren and pulled him out on the court and kind of showed him a couple things, like where he needs to be standing. Have you seen growth from Keontae as far as being a teacher, or is that something he's always been willing to do?
Yeah, I felt like they were having more of a conversation. I don't know if Keontae was, I didn't listen to everything they were saying, but it felt like they had been having an ongoing conversation towards the end of the quarter about some of the different things that we were doing. I think Keontae in general has become a way more willing communicator. I think, he's maturing as a person. He also has Keontae's a really, really bright young man, and he understands our system. And so I think he has become somebody who is a source of knowledge for new guys that are coming in. Keontae loves basketball. Believe me, he wishes that he was out there, like he's itching. And so I think those conversations keep him engaged.
Coach, I know you talked about it a little bit, but it seems like Jaren's meshing with the guys pretty well just 3 games in here. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would. He's, when we traded for Jaren, obviously there's so much talk about the player, and I'm very excited about the player, but what we're trying to build as an organization and a program, like Jaren's character and who he is as a person is just as important. And I think that has been really evident from the day that he got here. He's a high character guy. He's got a good sense of humor. He also has a respect level that comes with him because of how he's played during his career. So I think that from a human standpoint, he's meshing with the group really well. We haven't talked about that as much as the player piece, but what I've seen from him and Vince and John is that all three are really, really high character guys, and we're lucky to have them in our organization.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tony, nothing?
Into the locker room, where Cody Williams continues to impress. He scored 9 points and grabbed 5 rebounds off the bench. He spoke post-game with the media.
A little team chemistry going on. I know it's still going to take, time, but it's nice when you kind of feel like a rhythm and you start clicking with guys who, you haven't been on a team with before. So I think the fact we're able to play multiple lineups and still be successful, it's just a big confidence booster, and it kind of just shows, what the future is going to look like.
What did you think about the pace you guys had, especially in the first half, to really start controlling things?
Yeah, I think the big thing is just defense, especially with the lineups we have and adding Jaren, getting the stops allows us to go out and run and, push the pace. And, Zay's pushing the pace. So I feel like that gets us a lot of easy ones in transition, but it all starts with defense.
And what has that addition with Jaren been like?
It's a lot more switching. Our defense is a lot more sound. Great rim protector, too, and he can switch on the guard. So it kind of just makes our defense more solid and, forces them to take tough twos, a lot more rim protection, and then, we get out and run like we did today.
Coach mentioned before the game that what's been most impressive is that he is such a communicator on defense and loud and really passionate as well. And even when he's not in the game, that kind of influences others. Can you feel that, or what's that energy like?
No, for sure. Especially, Walk was kind of that guy, defensively. That was talking, loud, and pointing in direction. He was kind of like the general. So, he went out. Now we have Jaren coming in, kind of being that vocal voice on defense and directing people and kind of taking charge. I feel like, that's what's going to allow our defense to take that next step.
Lauri Markkanen's life got a whole lot easier with Triple J joining the fold. Markkanen scored 19 in the effort and talked about the addition of JJJ.
It's tough when you have a big lead like that and kind of lose focus. I think we slipped out of it a little bit at the second half, and obviously can't have that. But that's where it all starts, on defensive end of the floor, and kind of get out and get some easy buckets after that.
What's the initial impact that Jaren Jackson Jr. makes? What do you like about him instantly, the minute he got with you guys?
I mean, huge. Just defense, he's size. He can protect the paint, he can guard the perimeter, and then obviously on the offensive end, he's a tough matchup with anybody. But they kind of, with all three of us out there, we have a big lineup, and someone's going to have a small a lot of times, and he's one of the best ones to punish the mismatch for sure.
You can empathize with what it's like joining a team, at a different point in the season or very quickly. His body language seems great. He seems genuinely happy to be with this group.
Yeah, he's been good with us. He's trying to build a relationship with everybody, and it's really fun to hang out with him and kind of pick his brain, how Memphis was and what he's trying to bring here, and so it's great to have him.
Where do you see the ceiling of this group when you guys are all together and healthy and just kind of rolling a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a high ceiling with, tonight we didn't have our full group out there, obviously, and just getting Keontae and Walker back, and really excited what we can do with this group. And so I think we can do a lot of different things on, different coverage on defense, and then run the offense differently depending on who's got it going and what the matchups be. And I think having this group of guys, and obviously Will leading us, and he's a kind of picking his brain too, getting us what's working on different nights, and so I'm really excited.
What's it like kind of being on a team that's been rebuilding for multiple years, and just kind of seeing that the light at the end of the rainbow is kind of there a little bit?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, just kind of seeing the direction, and obviously seeing what he can do on the court, and I'm really excited about that future already, and so really feels good.
Will talked about wanting to develop the two-man game between you and Jaren. What does that mean for you, and what are you looking for?
I mean, obviously, we're trying to work on it. It's been a couple of days, and we really haven't had practice time yet, and so it's really exciting what we can do. Like I talked about the things that he can do offensively, and they got to pick their poison, and we're going to mix it in every night, getting different looks. But yeah, I'm really excited getting like practice time and workouts together and kind of build that two-man connection.
Already talked about it a little bit, but it seems like Jaren's meshing with this locker room really well already this early. Would you say that's the case?
Yeah, and like he's open to everybody. He's talking with all my teammates, and he's getting along really well. And we're obviously really excited to have him. So everything's been really smooth.
So the Jazz make it 2 in a row with Jaren Jackson Jr. Last one before the All-Star break is tonight at home. They host the Trailblazers at 7 o'clock. Pre-game coverage begins at 6. This has been your Jazz Recap on DJ and PK.
There's the best of the post-game show. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know. News update.
News update.
This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag Utah Jazz.
He's a very efficient offensive player. He can do it both inside and out. You know, I told Jaren that I think the thing that I've appreciated the most about him offensively is how he uses the three-point line. I think he has a good ratio right now. He's not just launching threes. I think he's a capable shooter, but, you know, his physicality and his touch around the basket's really good for us. Defensively, size, length, and elite communication. You know, he's helping us in a variety of ways. He's taking the pressure off of the other guys in some ways, and I also think that they're taking the pressure off of him. Like, I think that's where, you know, he and Lowry are going to get talked about a lot, and rightfully so, but I think that Nurk playing with those guys, the size of all three of them, they help each other in a bunch of different ways, so I think he's fitting into the group really well.
Will Hardy on how Jaren Jackson Jr. fits with the Jazz. You know, he fits when they're playing the Sacramento Kings, especially the Kings without 6 of their top 7 scores. Very, very well. 121-93. PK, they jumped on him early, and it was over in the first quarter. It was over when you found out how many guys were sitting.
Well, I think it was over even if they played. I think the Jazz are a better team. But these other dudes, them just jacking up threes, and it was just, what a gross game, man. I was bored early on.
That's so funny. I was sitting there, and my wife's looking at me in the middle of the second quarter. She comes walking back through the room. What's wrong with you? I'm like, this is boring. Like, the Jazz are 20 points better. I said, and we just heard Lowry Mark in the last segment say, we kind of lost the focus in the second half. Like, I can't even complain. I lost focus in the second quarter.
Well, I know. I was flicking around.
Yeah.
Trying to find some level of competition. I was watching my alma mater.
Which one?
Grand Canyon.
I thought so. Yeah, FS1 had that game.
Right. I mean, that's literally what I was on and then would flick back. His second half was garbage time, if not the last 3 quarters. And Jaren Jackson, he's doing nothing that I knew he couldn't do. This is the way he is. You know, it reminded me of when Taysom Hill got to the NFL. Oh, Taysom Hill, he caught a pass. Oh, he ran 20 yards. Oh, he threw the ball. Yeah, I saw him do it here. Of course he can.
He had a 5-yard touchdown run. Yeah. He hurdled a dude at Texas. I bet he can run 5.
There.
I bet he can run 5 yards without tripping over the 3.
Most stunning athletic plays you'll ever see.
Yeah, and now he's not tripping over the 3-yard line, so people are excited.
And this is Jaren Jackson. He's just doing exactly what I anticipated him doing. He's a very good player. No surprise.
Jazz right back at it tonight. Here come the Portland Trailblazers.
Who are traveling. They were in Minnesota.
7 o'clock tip time.
Boys better watch themselves.
Might accidentally win another game.
Well,
let's find out later today who suddenly can't play, shall we?
Yeah, even still. I just feel bad for Severino Malahaluk. All of a sudden, he's odd man out.
C is odd man out, yes.
I miss him.
You miss him.
But I still love me some John Conchar. Tatted up dude. He's here to play.
Yeah.
0 for 2 from 3. So what? Doesn't faze him. All the struggles he's been through in life.
A competitor.
Johnny Conchar.
Hard nose.
Didn't
Get in
know
there.
him until last week, and now I love him.
What about Vince Williams Jr.?
Yeah.
Could be a good role guy for him.
I
mean, you pretty much know the
discover way more.
You pretty much know the starting lineup, right?
Where does Vince Williams fit in?
As one of the 5 backups.
Where?
I don't know, positionless basketball. Is he just good enough to get out there? I mean, they want to switch. They're all talking about Hayward. Who was it just said it? I think it was Cody. Just said, hey, Jaren Jackson Jr. makes us better in switching because he can go out and guard the guards. And Vince Williams?
Where does he fit in, though? I mean, I'm not looking for a specific position. I don't know.
I'm just looking at 5 bench
asking.
guys and thinking that he fits that if when Keontae George is back, right, Collier probably goes to the bench. So Collier, Vince Williams, Bryce Sensabaugh, Cody Williams, Kyle Filipowski, 5 guys who can come off the bench and play.
Yeah, but what about if they keep the draft pick?
Oh, maybe he gets squeezed out then.
That's what I'm talking about.
But that's good enough because if he's good enough.
I don't know if he is.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't watched him play except for 3 games.
Right. The 3 games, I look at him, I think he could be good enough.
Well, he's got a body.
And you're right. And it's small sample size, and it looks like he plays hard and hits a few shots. Yeah. So the shot looks, and when he misses it, the shot looks okay. So, in Conchar and Williams, did they steal 2 more role guys? Or are they going to drop the guy 12 or 13, and they're going to get flipped in whatever the next deal is? Which is useful in its own right if the next deal is good.
I got to have Conchar stay.
Okay. You're emotionally attached to him.
I am, man.
Okay.
29 years old.
Yeah.
All tatted up like that. He got a big lion on his side? That's what I was trying to figure out. The guy's a lion. I'm going to call him Lion from now on.
Well, why don't you call him the Big Cat? The Big Cat.
No, he's a lion. He ain't no cat. He's a lion.
The Big Cat, John Conchar.
He's got a sleeve of cats. He is a lion.
A lion is a cat.
He roars when he comes in.
Now you're talking. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NBA.
You should ask the Europeans if the world team if they're going to compete. I mean, because we look at Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic now. Let's go back and look at what they do in the All-Star game. Is that competition? So we haven't questioned what they've been doing, but we're going to question the old heads and the Americans. But these 2 dudes out there, Luka and Jokic, they don't care about the game at all. These dudes be laying on the floor, they shoot from half court, but you got to worry about the old heads playing hard. I can read between the lines, bro. And I just think a lot of times, I'm just saying that I can read between the lines. And it's not just about you. It's just a overall topic that everybody has just been talking about. You just happen to ask me that question.
That's Kevin Durant asked about are they going to play hard at the All-Star game. The answer is clearly no, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? Please.
So what's he trying to get at, read between the lines?
I think he's probably saying you're not asking the white European guys, you're asking the black American guys.
And who
that
set
was
the
what
tone?
I read. That's what I read in between his lines when he was reading in between that dude's lines.
He's a victim.
Yeah. And I would say, why did you ask me that? It's like, well, because you're the generation who started it, and they're playing follow the leader. Now, honestly, I don't even know, is Luka going to go? I mean, he's been out, and
it doesn't matter.
And the
That's
Joker's
not
been out.
That's
No,
not
I
the
know.
point.
It's not. No. And the answer is they're not going to go.
Who started the joke?
I think generally people look at LeBron.
Oh, no.
Generally, people look at LeBron. He was the best player with the most cachet, and even if it wasn't his idea in the locker room, hey guys, why don't we dial it back about 35% here? It's easy, does
I'd
it?
say it's about
Even if
95.
it wasn't his idea, it doesn't happen without his okay.
Pickup games have more
Right.
intensity.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing with the freeze outs. Lots of people freeze out whoever, Shaq or whoever the new star is.
Well, yeah,
and a lot of
I
people
just
agree
freeze
to
out 10th Avenue.
a lot of Billy Joel. Thank you.
Actually,
and a lot of people agree.
Bruce Springsteen.
Oh, my bad. A lot of people
Across the river.
of across the Jersey, New York. Yeah, that's the Hudson, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the east is on the other side. It'd be on the east side. Thank you very much. A lot of people say, a lot of people just freeze somebody out. It takes everybody to do it. Okay, but it doesn't happen without Isaiah going, yeah, we're doing it. And it takes a lot of people to not play hard, but there's still, everybody's going to look at the guy and follow him, you'd think.
If 8 guys played hard, would Jokic and Doncic jog up and down? They were on the court, and the other 8 guys are busting it.
Doncic would and Jokic wouldn't, because Jokic doesn't look like he's playing hard for Denver, and he's dominating.
Okay, would he be playing hard? I don't care what he
would
looks
be playing harder. It wouldn't look great, but yeah, he would. He'd be more focused. I mean, when they had the All-Star game here and they picked the teams, they forgot to pick him, or I don't know, they didn't want to pick him. He's not friends with, I don't know what it was. And he just comes off the stage, he's like, oh, shucks, what do I care? It's a stupid All-Star game. I don't want to play anyway. His body language looked like he was going to take a nap.
Even in the All-Star game, it comes down to race.
None of it matters.
Remember that.
They don't care. Right. Yeah. And Durant can read between the lines.
And he's allowed to say it.
Yeah.
And
I can read between the lines.
And you'll turn on ESPN today, and there'll be zero blowback. Most of the folks will agree with him.
Maverick star Cooper Flagg is out against the Lakers with a foot strain. He's going to miss the Rising Star Challenge. It's not just the All-Star game. All the other events guys are dropping out of, too. Who did you just tell us? Alex Sarr's out?
Yeah.
Wizards, Alex Sarr, yep.
There's Alex Sarr. But,
might open a spot for Ace Bailey.
Is Cooper Flagg really deserving? Because if he were drafted this year, he'd go like 6th or 7th.
He's still a rising star. It's supposed to have 10 stars.
Isn't that what Jamal Mashburn said?
I don't know. I didn't hear that.
Yes, he did. Go look it up.
Okay. What would he go this year, you think?
6th or 7th, according to
No, what
Jamal.
do you think? I know what Mashburn thinks now. I got that.
Number 1.
Yeah, he'd still go in front of all these guys.
Yeah. What do you think?
Probably 1 for all the hype he got, but I wondered about 2.
Whoever got that second pick then.
But it does seem like people, and maybe we're just sitting here too close and got the blue glasses on. DeBonsa looks pretty awesome.
He does.
But on the other hand, Cooper Flagg's already gone out there for 49 points. If I had to guess, does DeBonsa go for 49 in his rookie season? I'd probably take no.
Well, it depends on what team he goes to.
It does, and that's part of it is that Flagg's going.
I think DeBonsa, man, any franchise that gets him, count your blessings. That'd be he to me. Maybe he's not the best pro, but he's the best college player. And I got a Wooden Ward vote, and he right now, it could change. He's going to get it.
Jazz didn't play the only blowout game. I was flipping around like you yesterday and saw the Knicks just absolutely hammering the Sixers up by 40 points. They end up winning 138-89, so a 49-point win on national TV. Yawn. Nice. All right, DJ and PK.
#NFL.
Hey, I just want to say I've talked a lot this last week about belief. A lot of people, didn't believe in me, but it didn't matter because the ones that are close believed in me, including y'all. I appreciate y'all so much.
To Ken Walker being the MVP, let's go! Woo! He tried negotiating with me 5 minutes ago. It was really weird. Anyway, hey, MVP, MVP, MVP.
Seattle Seahawks have their Super Bowl parade, estimating like 1 million people rolling around celebrating that. You heard Sam Darnold there. Appreciating the appreciation he has received in Seattle after not really being liked in New York or Carolina. And now he's loved. He's a Super Bowl champion. And the MVP, Kenneth Walker, trying to negotiate during the parade. I don't blame him. What the heck? Sounded like 3 or 4 people thought that was hilarious. Nobody else knew what to make of it. DJ and PK.
#BYU.
BYU's leading receiver, Parker Kingston, was charged with first-degree felony rape after a year-long investigation by St. George Police. Kingston is being held without bail in Washington County. He is scheduled to appear in court tomorrow. BYU's athletic department issuing a statement. BYU became aware today of the arrest of Parker Kingston. The university takes any allegation very seriously and will cooperate with law enforcement. Due to federal and university privacy laws and practices for students, the university will not be able to provide additional comment. They investigated for a year. This is supposed to have happened apparently before spring ball last year. So what's going to happen going forward? I guess maybe we'll know more after the court appearance. But PK, this is In addition to whatever happens on the law with the law and in court, and that'll go wherever it goes. I'm curious what the reaction is to BYU being in the headlines in this way for a second straight year. And I know a year ago that it was dismissed without prejudice. Nonetheless, there was going to be a long suspension if he stayed, and obviously, Jake Retzlaff left and went to Tulane and played. And you covered the team, and it was a different era, and the situations don't match up exactly, but there are similarities. What's the reaction going to be if leadership, whether it's at the administration level or at the church leadership level, if they're embarrassed by this happening in multiple years, in consecutive years? And what's the message going to be to the team going forward? Like, guys, there better not be a third incident like this. We don't like these headlines. And this isn't what we stand for. This isn't who we want to be. This bothers us big time. I'm just curious if you have any insight into that or if that's kind of unknowable. Other than we know it's got to be some issue, but it's hard to know to what level.
Yeah, that's meaty right there.
I know. And I figured we had spent a whole segment on it, but we don't always want to just blow through scores here.
You're
And
right. You're right.
And it is. It's we could talk for 20 minutes and not cover all the angles because when I read this yesterday as the news was breaking, I thought, wow, there's a lot to this. Because there are probably a lot of people in leadership positions who were not in those positions 25 years ago. So how the reaction from those people, may be different. At the same time, there probably are some people who were around for that 25 years ago, and their perspective is informed by that.
Well, appearance is very, very important.
Yeah, and the appearance is
BYU. It's why you've got guys that leadership guys wear suits to sporting events.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have to be ready at all times. So this is awful, and I'm going to allow the legal process. I'm not going to face judgment on the young man. It will play out as it plays out, right?
Yeah.
But I get your point. That's over there, and the legal system and he deserves the right to represent himself with his legal representation and everything else, and we'll see what happens there. But this is something that no school would want. Right? There's not a school in the country
that wants this headline.
Yeah.
They don't want their school name and this on a ticker during a game.
And we know that with Bronco Mendenhall, I was a beat writer at the time, and people were furious. Mm-hmm. And that's why he interjected religion as much as he did, because he was told to. We got to get back to what we're about. And that, at that time, 2003, 4, 2002, somewhere in there, it was just a huge negative mark on the institution, which is connected to the church, because they tell you so many times BYU football has brought exposure. Val Hale showed me letters that he had received of people that was their connection, and they end up joining the faith and all that stuff. So yes, it's what's the word? Inextricably linked, and because of the fact that no school would want this, that's why I would tell him there's a person in particular. He needs to back off, stop with the BYU is different. You want to be different, but are you really different? You're paying big money to have athletes on your campus, just like Alabama and Ohio State and so forth, and you've got two ugly circumstances that have gone public. Are you trying to be different? I get that, but are you really different? Your fans want them to win as much as any other fan base wants them to win. So maybe just tone down, because I think it's off-putting when we keep hearing we're different, because what we're saying is we're better.
Yes.
And that doesn't resonate with anybody. And anytime these things happen, you're going to have all sorts of stones chucked at you because you keep telling us you're different, which is your way of saying we're better.
I just think it's got to be, the language has to be tweaked to we aspire to a standard, or we aspire to.
Let it speak for itself. We had Rondo Feldberg on, and he said, we don't talk about it. We let others talk about it. And there's been a few people there who have been running their mouths about how different you are, going on social media, telling us you're different, telling us Kalani stayed because it's different. Kalani said, but I'm a competitor. We were sitting right in the first row, but I'm a competitor, which means if they didn't pony up, I was going to Penn State. Sure, all the other stuff is super important, and I'm not denying it, but in the end, I'm a competitor, which means when they ponied up, that was the tipping point, and that's why I stayed.
And I don't think this
because he wants to win, as he should. He's the football coach.
And he also knows that he is surrounded by competitors.
Yes.
You know Brian Santiago better than I do. I feel pretty confident saying Santiago's a competitor.
Oh, he'll eat your heart out if that's what it takes.
Well, when you're surrounded by competitors, like, if you're going to put me in a massive disadvantage, then I'm going to lose, and you're going to hold me accountable and fire me. So it's not just he wants to win. He also wants to keep his job and keep doing what he loves, which is coaching football. And that'll get taken away from you. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, there is much more to this, and we will get to that coming up. Stay with us. DJ and PK.
Hashtag Major League Baseball.
Injuries right out of the gate, PK. Francisco Lindor, broken bone in his hand, going to miss about 6 weeks. He'd played through the pain, but the team grew concerned, so they are shutting him down and letting him get healthy. And we got the news broke late in yesterday's show. Arizona Diamondbacks star outfielder Corbin Carroll, I believe you called him yesterday, the best player on the team. Is he the guy most likely to sell a ticket? If somebody buys a ticket to see a player, it's probably
him and Ketel Marte.
Yeah. He has a broken bone in his hand. So he's expected to play left field for Team USA in the World Baseball Championships, but now someone else is expected to play left field because he's going to miss the tournament.
He is, yeah.
And then opening day is in question, too. We'll see.
And then if you come back,
see how they heal.
How
and
are you?
Do they need a spring training? And is there residual soreness, even though the X-ray is good? And right.
Everybody needs a spring training. That's just a fact.
DJ and PK. More medals for Utah residents. More residents for Utah medals.
Freaking California people moving in. I thought that's where you were going again.
Jalen Koff secures silver in the freestyle skiing women's mogul. Second straight Olympic silver medal in the freestyle event. Jalen also took home silver in Beijing 4 years ago. George Stoltz taking home gold in the men's 1,000-meter speed skating, clocking the fastest time in 24 years. First of 4 events for the rising superstar. We'll see if it ends up being a multiple gold medalist. 500-meter, 1,500-meter, and the mass start event. Still to come. Mass start. That's what we want. Multiple people on the track. Trading paint in turn 3 like NASCAR. That's what I'm looking forward to. All right, let's see.
How about Finland's ski jumping coach, Igor Medved?
What did he do?
Sent home over an alcohol-related issue.
That's not good. Missing out on the Olympics.
You wait every 4 years, and then you get loaded.
Yeah, letting down athletes along the way. What are you doing? Well, going home is what he's doing. Elaine Elliott, University of Utah, longtime women's basketball coach, now retired, is going to be honored at the Huntsman Center this weekend. They're going to raise a banner with her name on it into the rafters. We're going to talk with her at 8 o'clock. Dave Rose is here because Jimmer Fredette's getting honored at the Marriott Center this weekend. And we're going to talk with Dave Rose about the good old days with Jimmer and about how his head spins when he hears what's happening in college basketball now. The question of the day is coming up. Stay with us.
This Utah's best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth. Here we go. From the guys who have been there for all the biggest moments in Utah sports history. You're listening to DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK reminding you to join Scotty G Thursday from noon to 3 at Minky Couture and Layton. The best blanket ever is also the best Valentine's gift ever. DJ and PK, time for the question of the morning. The Jazz have won 2 in a row. Are you starting to worry about them losing their first round pick? No.
I am.
Because I think they considered it when they traded for Jaren Jackson Jr., and they've got to hide 2 All-Stars now and lose to a bunch of teams who don't have 2 All-Stars. And I think they'll do it by sitting guys for long stretches of games.
Yeah, but what about when George comes back? He's capable of going for 30 in a blink of an eye.
I think they're going to shut down a lot of guys because I have been told repeatedly they are not losing their draft pick.
Yeah,
if they play these guys, you said yesterday, they could go 500 down the stretch easily, and I do not doubt that. I believe that 100%. And if they go 500 down the stretch, I believe they will lose the draft pick.
All of a sudden, they got a good team.
I know. I totally agree. And I think also a lot of guys who it was a stretch to see them as a starter in the NBA, I really do believe that there's enough of a talent gap that when you're the starter and you're asked to play 30 minutes against other starters, you just can't do it. But when you're asked to play 20 minutes against the backup, you can do that. You are that good. And I think some of these guys they've drafted have come along and made progress.
Oh, man.
And so if they're playing everybody, do I think they can go 500 at this time of year against this schedule? Yeah, they got 7 teams left on their schedule who are flat out terrible. Maybe it's one less now because when I counted up yesterday, I was counting Sacramento. So maybe it's 6.
Okay, but you take Portland tonight. Portland's coming in from Minnesota.
You're right,
Jazz,
100%. And
Jazz are sleeping in their own beds.
Nice. Did you hear that when you were covering the Lakers for the Daily Breeze, or is that a thing you heard when you came to Utah?
It was mostly an NCAA tournament thing. It's sleeping in their own beds. And I thought, bring the beds with them if it's that important. They got those big trucks for football.
See? Load them up. Let's go. Throw some mattresses in there, some pillows. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, the Lakers didn't need any.
Didn't worry about that.
they could have slept standing up. They were horses. Those guys, the way they ran and the way they played. So they always had a talent advantage back in the '80s when I was down there. But you look at George and Bailey. They can give you 50, and no one's going to bat an eye.
That's true.
And you're playing 6 teams, and I haven't doped it out.
Right.
That suck.
Yep.
And they're going to suck even more.
And then to just
they
win.
said a couple of their guys.
Right.
Man, I'm nervous.
Yes. They've got, when they come back from the break, they actually start on the road with a couple games. But they're at Memphis right away. And I'm not even counting Memphis as one of the terrible teams. But that's a winnable game. Well, I've got a separate group over here that's got Washington and Indiana and New Orleans. They play New Orleans twice at the end of February. At home.
They suck.
I know. When I'm talking about these 6-7 games.
And you're going to have Jaren Jackson going back there. We saw what Rob Wright did when he went back to Texas.
They haven't played the Wizards yet. They still have to play the Wizards twice.
Twice?
Yes.
Wizards sitting everybody.
I know. The Wizards, actually, I was watching more. All the talking heads all day were feeding off that whole conversation that we had yesterday morning about the comments. We were the only ones who commented on the comments, right?
Right.
And I wonder what PTI would say, and it was totally predictable. Kornheiser went right to Utah sitting him in the fourth quarter. He said, the Wizards traded for 2 guys I actually know who they are, and they immediately said, they're injured, they're not playing.
Right, and that's the hometown team.
And that's his hometown team. And he's like, there's lots of teams in the NBA that aren't even lifting a finger to win.
Right.
Yep.
So that's right there. That's 4 wins off the top of my head. Tonight, Memphis, New Orleans twice, and I don't even know any of the other teams.
Right. Well, they have New Orleans again in April. So
right, I said New Orleans twice.
No, 3 times. They have them twice at home, February 26th and 28th, and in New Orleans, April 7th.
Right, but maybe just dumb luck, you don't sweep them. But you're still going to get 2.
If the Jazz are playing everybody and playing hard, I think they sweep them.
I know, but they're not going to.
No, I think they're going to sit guys.
So, I want to make sure I'm clear here. So they sit guys.
Uh-huh.
They could have sat guys last night and still won that game.
Yes.
So
true.
they sit guys against New Orleans.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
But they still can win 2 out of 3.
I see where you're going. Yes. Yeah, you're not off. You're not wrong.
Obviously, if they played all their guys, they had an excellent chance to win 3 out of 3.
Right.
But I'm assuming, as you said, they sit guys. But I still see them getting a couple of wins, even with sitting guys, because you have guys like George and Bailey. And I'm telling you, hey, Chicho, pay attention here. This is an old movie, but it's a Christmas classic. If they have George and Bailey, which means they have George Bailey, what does that equal? It's A Wonderful Life. Because the movie The Wonderful Life, who is the lead character? George Bailey. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and use that on your family up there. Well, you're from the north end of this area, right? When you get back up there over the weekend, go ahead and use that with your family. They'll say, wow.
Use it on the Saturday show too. It'll be a new audience. Credit PK. Don't be a thief.
You don't have to credit me.
Yes, you do.
No, you
PK
don't.
likes you right now. He's not into plagiarism. So you can credit PK.
I'm allowing him. I am taking this young man under my wing because a couple years back I got in a traffic accident and I didn't have any wheels. And he volunteered to take me home after a Utah football game. But I told him, just take me to the park and ride just over off the freeway there by 33rd, and my wife would come. But he was willing to take me all the way.
That a kid, Chicho.
All the way. That's why this kid's going to go places.
Haven't washed my car since.
When I'm pushing up daisies, he very well could be in his chair.
There you go.
Right. So go ahead. You can say, with the Jazz, George Bailey, it's a wonderful life. Yeah. Those guys can go for 50, and no one's going to bat an eyelash.
No, it's true.
I'm nervous about this team blowing it.
And that's why I was talking to you a couple days ago and putting it up on social media. They're going to need to sit 8 guys. I get it. Because these other teams, I mean, how low was the bar with Sacramento? The number one, they're not any good. And number two, they sat 6 of their 7 leading scorers, and you count the fact they traded one of them away in midseason. They were without 7 of their 8 leaders this year because they traded Dennis Schroeder away. They didn't run. Well, DeMar DeRozan, I don't know who he pissed off, but he had to play. But other than that, they didn't run anybody out there average 10 points a game. That's not a high bar.
I know. So
that's
the Jazz got more talent.
I know. And they're going to have to sit guys.
Yeah,
but I think
they become
the
lightning rod for tanking. All of a sudden, you look up tanking, and you got the Jazz logo on there. When it's been done for 20, 30 years. This is a joke.
I know.
And so what are they going to do? They're going to fine him? Is Adam Silver going to be sitting courtside with a stern look on his face?
I've been led to believe that they are determined to keep the draft pick.
Of course
and that they
are.
will sit people, and if they get fined, so be it.
But now it becomes obvious, off the top of my head, in all the deals that were made, they got the best player of the entire league.
Yeah, right. Now that it's all said and done, when you look at all the guys who moved in any deal across the league, if you rank them, there's only one guy who's Defensive Player of the Year and a 2-time All-Star and
Anthony
7
Davis,
feet
but he's
tall.
not playing.
He's not playing, yes.
But you can argue that he's a better player.
I don't think he'll ever be that again. I mean, the injuries have just torn him apart.
I'm going with Jaren Jackson.
Right. Maybe.
And in 3 games, in limited time, he's doing exactly what he's done. And if he received 10 minutes more playing time,
I assume he'd score 30. Yeah, he'd score 30. The only person who can keep him under 25 right now is Will Hardy by subbing him out.
And you got Locke talking, I'm on tomorrow, talking about how much better he's made the defense and all that stuff, and in just 3 games.
Yes.
Are they going to sit him in the first game against Memphis? And you won't be gassed. You will have had a week off.
Rest. Well, I got to tell you, he's exhausted from Cancun.
I would send him to Mexico and say, Jaren, drink as much tap water as you can.
Ooh. Montezuma's revenge, people.
2-3 weeks.
Jaren's just lying on the floor of the hotel. Oh, my stomach feels terrible. Look out, I got to go again.
We were down there, and we went to some excursion. We're on some remote place, and I think we bought some pie or something. And in the night, I wake up, and I am just all over
devastated.
The place. Oh, I am making noises left and right. My wife gets up to help me. I go back, and I did it all in the tub, so you just flush it and clean it, right? Obviously, I vomited. And then a couple hours later, she did it, and I slept through the whole thing. No. I didn't hear a thing. She got all mad.
So you got sick to your stomach, and she's up. PK, can I help you? Are you okay?
Right.
I mean, while she gets sick, you're...
But I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything. I slept through the whole thing. I felt worse than worse. I was already bad. And that day, we barely. I mean, we're paying for this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was her 40th birthday or something. And we sat by the pool, just lying there like 2 corpses. And then it was that night. We couldn't go out on the town or anything, but it was Game 7 between the Celtics and the Lakers. So I just sat. I was out horizontal watching the game. And then the next day, it was our last day, so we forced ourselves to do some stuff. And I think it might have been the World Cup was playing that day. So the streets, we went to like street fair, and of course everyone was all
Everybody's
excited.
watching.
Yeah. But yeah, so they got to do something because this guy's come in seamlessly and put up the numbers that he's been putting up without a ball-dominant guard in terms of shooting because George has been out for most of the time, and he's putting up the same numbers that he puts up in limited time. If he got all the carries, the numbers would be astounding.
Thank you, Damian. Thank you, Gordon. The gift that keeps on giving.
I talked with you during the season.
If they play their top 8 guys, then you're right. They are going to win games, and they will be at risk. Even if they still end up with one of the 8 worst records, there's always a risk someone's going to hop you, and you're just going to slide back a spot or two, and they could lose the pick.
Right, because there's so many teams that are tanking.
I have tried in a conversation with someone I assume is connected and knows what's going on. Say, well, if, and it's just like, they will have one of the top 5 worst records. Talk about something else.
Yeah, but that was before the trade.
It was that. So I'm not going to hold them to the top 5 anymore, but I'm still holding them to not going to lose the pick.
And when was that?
It was the first third of the season.
Okay, had George blossomed to the level he had?
Not to this lesson, but he was playing very well. I think that was the thing that brought it up.
Okay.
Now, I don't know that he'd, done his 35 at that
Ace
point.
Bailey's now playing consistent?
Ace Bailey has absolutely improved since that. But I'm counting those. When I say they have to
Cody
sit 8
Williams
guys.
is better?
They could probably play Cody. When I count 8 guys.
If he's your number 1 guy, you're going to lose.
Right. When I count 8 guys, I don't have him in the top 8. I do think sitting Collier is going to have to happen because against teams late in the year that don't want to defend, a guy who's as good at getting in the lane as him.
Right down.
Yes. He last night. He missed the shot last night, but he blew past 2 guys in the open court because the Kings weren't running, and he's fast with the ball.
With the ball, he's very fast.
Yeah.
They didn't have the roaring lion either. John Conchar.
Conchar's a guy we may see play. Elijah Harkless is going to have to start playing 25 minutes. That's what's going to have to happen. Blake Hinson, the legendary Blake Hinson.
I don't know who he is.
He's bounced around Lakers, Warriors, Blazers, and I know that because I looked it up because I didn't know who he was.
Is he related
either.
to Roy Hinson?
But he's on the bench now with the. I don't know any of that about him. We'll go to Wikipedia during the break and educate ourselves. But he's bounced around. He's on at least his 4th team. He played at Pitt. He's on the bench last night. DNP coach's decision. Well, he's going to need to get played a lot of minutes. Coach's decision here. If they're going to keep the draft pick, because their top 7, 8 guys are going to beat some of these bad teams that are then watered down.
Okay, man, I'm nervous.
I get that, but I think they're going to sit 8 guys. And if they don't, they're going to win games. It's a jeopardy, and your nervousness will be justified. I don't think they're going to do that, but time will tell. And everything I have, I don't have. I don't have it from Austin. I don't have it from Will Hardy. So the people who are actually going to make this decision, they haven't told me anything, but people I think are connected have. So we'll see how this goes. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Nobody brings you better coverage of the teams you're passionate about than these guys.
Try some more.
This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Jazz hammer the Kings 121-93. Any of these young guys changing your opinion of them right now, or do you think at this point we know who they are and the competition is going to get really, really soft here down the stretch with teams just not putting guys out there?
Yes.
The Kings didn't put guys out there that the Jazz would want on their team.
You're talking to me about have guys changed my mind, or have I had
But
different views? Yes.
Yeah, we have a different view of Isaiah Collier than we did at the start of the season, to be sure. I just don't know how much he's going to be able to change my view now the rest of the season. Even when he hits threes, they're practice quality threes, a lot of these.
Most of them will be for him. He's not going to take a contested 3.
Right.
So those will always be the shots. He can run an offense. The assist numbers, they're not flukes. And I don't care what the competition is. And Cody Williams, it's been a slower developmental process, obviously, but he is getting more confident. And with that confidence, makes me think not necessarily next year, but in a year or two, he might be onto something. And it might be what DA saw in him to draft him, what was it, an 8 or 9, somewhere in there. That's something that you have to watch for. So that's 2 guys. Ace has been pleasant to watch him develop. We'll continue to watch him develop. I enjoy watching guys grind and get better because I like to think that's what I did. Just grind. Put your head down and grind. And Keontae George, he's already doing that, and be able to see him and the way he's embraced the team concept and to see him get better after maybe some earlier struggles, that's fun. And it's fun to see Kevin Love over there because it seems like he's having the time of his life.
How about now? And the Kings were shooting literally 20%, but he had 5 rebounds so fast. He finished with 9 in just 16 minutes.
Right.
But it's like, I'm not here to get shots, but I do want to be in the league and I do want to represent. I don't want people looking at box score and, seeing the 16 million joke, right? 16 minutes and zeros all the way across. So he goes and gets 9 rebounds in 16 minutes. Made himself useful.
And I am in mourning that Sevi Malahukak has been benched after all he gave and meant to this franchise, and having discarded like he's yesterday's news. It bothers me.
That's championship level sarcasm right there. Svea, Elijah, and Blake Hinson, Oscar Schwebe. Expect to see more of those guys after the All-Star break.
The Big O, absolutely.
The Big O. Stay with us.
Over 2 decades of sports radio dominance in Utah. My favorite. This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ PK, and we are joined now by Elaine, Elliott, former women's basketball coach at the University of Utah. Will be honored at the Huntsman Center this weekend with a banner going up in the rafters. Elaine, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
Does it seem just totally bizarre? I mean, you still remember 25-year-old Elaine. It's like, how is this happening? You're getting a banner recognizing 582 career wins, obviously NCAA tournaments and deep tournament runs, Sweet 16, Elite Eights, all that kind of stuff. It's all coming together. I assume you're going to have a lot of people there.
Well, you said it all in terms of, is this really happening? Yeah. Does this happen to people? You never once consider this. You go to practice every day and you love everything about what you're doing, and you get to have these lasting relationships with kids who now are about for the total of about 47 years as we count from when I started. And I just, I'm so lucky and thankful because there's exactly one way anything this ever happens for a coach, and that is the players who won all those games.
I've known you for a long time, and you always were a good interview. You'd speak your mind, and I'm just wondering what you think of the advancements in women's sports. You're one of the OGs. I believe you played at Boise, and I'm guessing for when you did that to what it is now, the progression that has been made maybe blows your mind, but assess the overall state of women's college basketball compared to when you started to where it is now.
Well, the game itself is amazingly, watched and followed and adored. I mean, those are that's the biggest difference, right? We didn't play in front of a lot of people till later on in my career, and then we had some pretty big crowds at times, especially with the rivalry game. We all know what that does to people.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest, greatest, coolest thing that's happened. I mean, the entire process of women getting scholarships and getting money to make their way through school. I mean, that is all thank goodness, right? Was long due, and women just they didn't play for that reason, and yet they deserved all of that alongside their male counterparts. And now, of course, you're right. The game is just crazy now in this new model of college athletics. For me, I coached at the right time. I have certainly, I have no ill feelings towards the people in the game now and what is out there for them, although it's still a small minority of them. You still have the majority of athletes at the college level are amateurs. But the way it's changed now with basically the pro levels up in football and obviously men's basketball and other sports like women's basketball, who some of those gals are making good money, it's still, the model is professional. And, I wasn't a part of that. And I'm kind of glad not to have been, just because I would have had a lot bigger job to do, although I would have had a much bigger staff to get it done.
Yeah, there you go.
So maybe I wouldn't have minded that. Just the idea of, they've got to come to terms with what this model really needs to be to service the idea that it's even on college campuses. It is a pro model in ways that yet don't really fairly address the pro part of a pro sport. I mean, pro sports has it figured out. Obviously, they've done a lot of things to try to keep the product competitive because that's still the best thing for the game. And the colleges and the NCAA don't yet have those answers in writing. So we'll see.
PK mentioned you played before Title IX was fully implemented. And now there's scholarships, there's planes. Depending on the school, there might even be chartered planes. What was it like when you were playing basketball in high school and college? What was it like? How different was it? Can you give people some tangible examples of how it's just completely changed?
Well, even though Title IX came in 1973, it took some years to actually get the money. I received $500 in my senior year. That's a change. The experience was, we just had the things that create the stories for us are a lot different. Ours were van rides, right? I don't remember flying anywhere except back to the national tournament. So we're in 13, 14-hour van rides to go up into the Seattle area, and our coaches are the drivers. But we tell the stories of what happened in the vans and the cars. We couldn't wait to get the practices after winter breaks, and we end up coming back like 2 hours before practice is going to start, and it has just snowed. And so we're out in our cars in the parking lot doing cookies, just waiting for the doors to open because all we wanted to do was get in and get back to playing basketball. The memories are different, no better, just different. And it was, I was in the old guard, but not the ones who created the situation for women. Those were the Fern Gardners and the Norma Carrs. So I was a recipient of it for sure. Had great college and high school coaching opportunities really because I had played college basketball. That is what made women qualified enough in people's eyes to be a college coach, was having played in college. So you can see the differential there for men and women as we started out, even back then.
This quote you gave me is coming up on 30 years old when I used to work for the Tribune and covered men's and women's basketball for the U of U. And it has stuck with me all this time. And I loved it. And I'm going to repeat it. You said, women's basketball jobs are good when men start wanting them. And I thought that was just brilliant. And you put it out there, and there was a bit of sarcasm, but a whole lot of truth. And we see that today. I mean, the fact is, these are great jobs now, and that's an advancement. So I guess you got to take it, right?
Right. I mean, the advancement in it is just, what is valued, obviously, in our culture, and sport is no different as you see the changes in the monetary systems of athletics. As soon as there was money in it, guys wanted it. Right. And that's pretty simple. It's not, it's just the truth, and, no anger. You can't change things until they're ready to change. And the thing that was great was, as women played college basketball and became very good at the game and understanding it and turning it over and coaching women in the game, well then, even the men who controlled women's athletics understood the value in women coaching women. So we sort of went through that time frame where, men started to take jobs that women always had. And then you started to see it, again, even up over time. And there became qualified women who just said, and were successful. And it just opened the door for women to be in what has always been a male world. And there's just great jobs out there. And there are great women and men coaches.
582 career wins. I guess you're going to put that number up on your banner. I was surprised when you said it'll be great to have a lot of your former players back for this, because you continue to apologize to some of the players from the early years.
Yeah,
back
sure.
to PK about the truth and the sarcasm. So explain why that is.
Look, I was 27 when I started, and I didn't want Fern to retire any more than the players wanted Fern to retire. I wasn't ready, but she was. So thankfully, she pushed hard enough that I had that opportunity. But, I got better every year that I've coached. I mean, the best coach I was the last year I coached. And I don't know how it could have gone any other way. I look at things in life the same way. I've never thought I knew it all or thought I, had it all or thought I deserved it all. I just kept doubting myself. That's how I got better. I kept trying to get better at the things I didn't do well. And so, of course, the recipients of the worst of that were my first players.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can say that across the board. I listened to a podcast with Morgan Scally, and he was talking about how Kyle Whittingham has told him, you're going to go through a learning curve. You've been trained, and he was trained to be the head coach of UVU football longer than you were trained to be the head women's basketball coach, obviously, because he'd been an assistant for 20 years, and you just said you were 27, and he's 20 years older than that right now. But he understands that there's going to be a learning curve. So I think that most people would understand that you would get better. And I'm wondering, with the knowledge that you have, and you decided to retire, I think right around the time they were switching conferences, if I remember correctly, that with all the stuff that's available today, combined with your knowledge, you used to have to stand up the tunnel, and I'll pull back the curtain a little bit here, and have to bounce the balls a lot because that meant, guys, somebody over there, you're going over your time, and it's our time to get on the gym. Because you told me that, and I remember those days. We had conversations, right? Well, now you got adjacent to the Huntsman Center, essentially, you got this beautiful facility, and the number of women's basketball players that are available, the recruiting pool. You used to have to go to Canada and look under rocks to get players. I mean, the way you recruited and you found players everywhere to get them to come to the U of U and were extremely successful. I was wondering, how do you think you would do today with all the far more advantages that are available to everyone?
Well, it's beautiful to see those facilities and all the things that are available to coaches and coaching staff. The thing that doesn't change is the stress and the winning and the losing. I think as far as how I feel about the game or my own understanding and knowledge and how that would transfer, I'm really confident that it wouldn't have changed anything, that I would be successful. The resources would grow with the competition. The thing that's always important is that you should always want to be and expect to be around the best all the time, comparative to, certainly, teams that share the same resources. We were never in a power league, but we were always the best at the leagues that we were in. I look at the game now and I watch the game, and I've had the opportunity to do some analysis actually for the first time on TV, which, now here I am starting over again, right? Just the rookie, the newbie. But I just feel like that's just the part of it is still, what do you do on the floor? What do you do to coach? What do you do with the players? How do you get them to be their best, and how do you perform well enough to help them be their best? So that hasn't changed. I mean, if I just went to practice for 2 hours a day, I'd still be in college athletics. I love it. I just want to sleep at night. The stress is real. The need to win and lose is real.
Right.
And even though it seemed like I maybe was retired earlier than some, I started earlier than most.
Yeah, there you go. That's true.
This media job, how did this happen? Because for people who watch the games on ESPN Plus, you're the analyst. How does this happen? Are you going to be calling this Cincinnati game and just take the headset and then walk out there at halftime as they reveal the banner? How does that work?
Yeah, I actually am. When I first started this, of course, I had known about the banner for a while, so it didn't strike me as unusual that I would just do the job I had that night. And then we'd have the banner reveal. Now, this week has been a little more stressful. Just kind of all the things that happen around it, and but yeah, that's fine. What would I do otherwise, right? I'd be chit-chatting with other people. Instead, I'll just chit-chat, with Tony. So it's just been fun. They wanted to have a coach. They thought it might be an interesting perspective to use somebody at Utah with my background, just so that I kind of had the stories that nobody else had and kind of had the experiences that nobody else had within the program itself. And they wanted to present that to the TV audience. And I thought that might really be cool to do. And I really enjoyed it. You guys don't believe that, do you?
Well, you've evolved. Let's just leave it there. You've evolved, Elaine.
See?
You continue to grow and evolve.
I had a long ways to go. And, hey, even the dumb ones can make it at some point.
I think one of the fun things for coaches is to bring in an 18-year-old kid and then watch that person, man, woman, whatever it might be, grow up, so to speak. And by the time they're done, especially in that age, that age group is a massive difference in just life and maturity from the time they're 18 to the time they're 22, 23, and they're ready to go on and they're done with their athletic eligibility, right? And that's the fun part, to see players develop as human beings and, of course, on the floor or on the field, whatever it might be. With that in mind, it's not as prevalent in the women's game, but it's still there, this immediate eligibility and the rampant transferring and all that. And then, you wonder what is lost in the translation of doing all that in the process. I'm just wondering what you think of the rules that are available that kids can hopscotch if it's not working. Or even if it is working, for that matter, they still want to go.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of goes back to my earlier comment about, basically the colleges everybody's a free agent every year of their eligibility. I mean, who could manage that? And what's good about that for the game, the university game? I mean, there's just nothing good about that. So again, rules somehow they have to change. They have to try to, manage that in ways that can keep this competitive. And as far as the personal experiences and those parts, there's nothing that equals what happens in programs and with the people in programs who have a 4-year to 5-year experience with teammates that are, theirs and always theirs, and coaches who are there and share that with them and help grow them. I mean, I still, I watch kids go through the pains of those college years, and you can't speed up their path. They're going to get where they're going to get to. You're there for them like a parent would be for them, but you're also understanding that, they're going to come out the other side. And I see now the kids that, have those kinds of personal things occur in college years that we were there for, we knew of, but we couldn't change for them. And now they're out there, with lives and careers and professionals that they're the ones doing that kind of work with kids in that formative age. You can't do that in a year, and you can't experience that as a player and as an athlete. As I talked on Friday night a little bit at our legacy dinner that before Saturday, it's going to include the idea that the experiences that they talk about and the stories that we have are things that these kids went through because they shared a period of time and a period of experiences, and not just a season of basketball.
Right,
so
exactly.
I feel badly for that. That's the part. I don't like that part of this model. I think it's bad. I'm glad I'm not part of that. I'm glad that I'm part of the experience as it was when I was coaching.
Elaine, Elliott, longtime Utah women's basketball coach, joining us Saturday. They will put a banner up in the rafters with her name on it, her 582 career wins. 15 conference titles, 15 NCAA tournament appearances, including the Sweet 16 in 2001 and the Elite 8 in 2006. So many memories in the Huntsman Center. And I know this is above your pay grade now, but when you heard they were probably pivoting from building a brand new arena to remodeling the Huntsman Center. Is there a part of you that likes that, given all the memories you have in the Huntsman Center?
Well, yeah, no, you think, I still have people I could bring back, right? I have nieces and nephews and say, hey, look where I, coached for all those years. So there's a nostalgia to it. At the same time, this is how it works, right? There's going to be you just move forward. And part of that is going to be moving to new physical facilities. So, my heart isn't broken. It's just, not a bad question to ask and something to reflect on, but nothing to worry about.
Well, Elaine, I call you Coach. I'm not comfortable calling you Elaine, so I'm gonna stick with what I knew, calling you Coach. It was a pleasure to cover your program all those years. You guys were as fundamentally sound as anybody, and I think this is an honor that's well deserved. So congratulations.
Listen to both of you. I just can't thank you enough. And Pat, yeah, those were the good days. You were always good. You were always good, and you were always fair, and nobody could ask for more.
Thank you.
Elaine, thanks for joining us, and enjoy Saturday. It should be fun.
Thank you so much. See y'all at 5 o'clock.
Okay. Elaine Elliott, Utah hosting Cincinnati women's basketball game, 5 o'clock. She'll be on the broadcast on ESPN+, and then they will honor her with the banner, and then she'll finish calling the game. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You can head on up to the Huntsman Center if you want to enjoy that on Saturday. Stay with us.
Nobody brings you better coverage of the teams you're passionate about than these guys.
Try some more.
This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Scotty G, Friday from noon to 3 at Tim Dolly Mazda Southtown, 107. 85 South Auto Mall Drive in Sandy. The BYU basketball team. The BYU basketball team, we'll talk with Dave Rose about the BYU basketball team. Jimmer Fredette will be honored this weekend. Dave Rose is going to join us at 9 o'clock. Right now, the BYU football team.
It says 9:30 on here.
And we'll talk to him in the 9 o'clock hour, he says, trying to save that. The BYU football team, the leading receiver, has been charged and is going to be in court tomorrow on rape charges down in St. George, held without bail in Washington County.
That's bad.
The incident in question here reportedly happened a year ago. The woman went to the hospital. There's been a long investigation. It's not clear to me. I don't think it's clear to you either why it took so long, why charges now. All of that will be, I guess, resolved in court starting tomorrow, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. So we're going to set that aside right now and just talk about the sports implications, which we get are not the most important implications, but they are the ones that we are qualified to talk about at least a little bit. And a lot of this, PK, is really hard for me anyway, to predict. There's an image issue. When we talked about this in the 7 o'clock hour, you pointed out no school wants this, right? Nope. No school, no president wants to look up at a TV and see name of my school followed by these allegations and the court details. Uh-huh. So then on top of it, it's a private religious school, which at times has not had these issues, but there was an issue similar to this a year ago, and there were issues similar to this when you were on the beat 25 years ago. And obviously some of the people have turned over, and there's new people in new jobs, and it's 25 years later, and so I don't know exactly how they're going to react. But I wonder what the fallout is on the sports side of this, which I know is not the most important side of this. Let's be clear on that. But the most important side of it, we're not qualified to talk about. It's not really what we do, so we're going to set that aside for now. But I'm just curious how administrators are going to look at this, what the repercussions will be for the football program. There are a lot of people who can have a say on campus and how a sports program is run. And I just wonder what this is going to mean. And I don't know that you can answer it, but I suspect you're wondering the same thing.
Well, we know that it's a bad look, obviously. It's a bad look at ASU. It's a bad look at Santa Barbara. It's a bad look anywhere on the planet, right? So we understand that. But obviously with the BYU situation, and by their own acknowledgement being closely aligned with the Latter-day Saint Church, plus it is a missionary tool by their own acknowledgments. Nothing that I'm saying.
Right.
I watched the I'm charged to watch the football team. I'm not charged to watch the missionary efforts.
But nonetheless, when we're talking to people at practice or at games or in the community, it has been acknowledged by multiple people multiple times.
Right, and so it's a fact. I believe it. And when I was the beat writer back 20 years ago or so, a little longer, 25 as you say, so many people were furious because they were losing too. They sucked. Not that, well, you're going to look the other way if they're winning. That's not the point. But I had people tell me, high-ups tell me, if we're going to have a football program, I would rather lose than have this off-the-field incidents. And that I still remember that one day, start of practice, there were so many news people there. And Mike Hendrick was there.
Mike Hendrick, who's, we're reporting from my old station at that point, but at this point.
And my old one, too.
Yes. And now anchoring here at Channel 5.
Yeah. And he interviewed me on the sidelines there at that time, and now he's the lead anchor there at Channel 5. Dude is buff, too. Man, he's buff. And it was such a big deal, and it was a stain. And they can't afford to have stains. They want to put their best foot forward, obviously, for their university, for their football program, for their institution of the Latter-day Saint Church, all understood. And this is a bad look to have it 2 years in a row. I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, wow, they got an epidemic. Guys are going crazy, and they're looking the other way for the sake of winning. I am not under any circumstances willing to go there. Maybe if I had more information, but I don't have that right now. I do not believe that. I want to make that abundantly clear. I do not believe that for sure.
But you and I both know how it works, and I've heard this specifically about Arizona State. I've heard specifically about UC Santa Barbara. Getting kids admitted to school. And there's so much NIL and transfer stuff now. But working with the admissions office, like this isn't they're going forward, there are multiple people on a campus who can have a say on who gets into school and who doesn't. And I just wonder what they're thinking now.
Well, as I understand it, I don't know this for sure. I believe Parker Kingston is a member of the Latter-day Saint Church. And so that would be viewed a little differently than somebody who isn't. What are their standards? And the standards, are they being taught? Are they being enforced? Clearly, they've loosened standards with the grooming. That's a fact.
Haircuts look different than they used to look.
Yeah. And I'm not sure about stuff that I really don't want to get into because I don't want to get into personal lives. But I can tell you not all the coaches are going to church. And that used to matter. I had a prominent coach in town tell me that Bronco wanted to hire him, and he was an inactive member of the faith, and so he couldn't get the job. And they pivoted and went in another direction. And he told me, he said, I would have been in, you criticize me or take shots at me, I don't care. This is what he told me. He said, I would have been better off if I was not a member of the faith and on the rolls than being a member of the faith but not participating. And I said, well, why didn't you take your he told me, he said, I would have stood a better chance to have the job if I was excommunicated. And I said, well, why didn't you do that? He said, because then my mother would have been furious. And so he didn't get the job, and he continued to coach. He was a high school coach, and so be it. So now I'm not sure that's the standard anymore. And that's fine. They can do whatever. I'm just pointing these things out. I'm offering no value judgment. I couldn't care less whether a kid wears an earring or has a beard or has longer hair. It absolutely does not matter. It got to the point, I will tell you, a prominent player, a coach told me this, and I will not say the coach. I will not say the name of the player, but you would know him. And that some BYU leadership person 20 minutes before the game was to begin, came and told the coach that player needs to shave. He cannot go out there like that. And the coach was furious, and the player, and that stuff has seemed to have been relaxed. I don't think certain tenets have been relaxed by any stretch, but they're going to have to roll with this and continue to try to be better. The thing that I would say, in particular, there's some new people who have had some leadership positions, and I think that they really revel in that. And so they've been vocal in saying that BYU is different. And the problem with that is that you can say that all you want, but you can't control how it's perceived. And the way it's perceived is BYU is better. And that's where the Lord steps in and magic happens. Got everybody upset. And even though now, my gosh, every interview seems we stop, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, blah, blah, blah.
It is routine at this point.
And in those days, it was perceived as, well, God favors BYU over Utah. That's the way the Utah people took it, right? I don't think that's not the way Austin Colling meant it. I'll go to my grave saying that. And he only told it to one person, and that person was me. I was standing right there. It was a one-on-one interview. And so with that in mind, you got to be careful in pushing the BYU is different. We strive to be different. We want to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. We have what would be known as different standards, but just let the standards speak for themselves. Don't tell me that you're different, because what you're saying is you're better. And I can tell you that that's not received well. And that was a lot of the friction between the coaches back when
it was Kyle and Bronco in that era.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it spilled over into recruiting and who said what to which recruit and what did you really say and what
your
did you
son
really
goes
mean?
there and in a year, here's what he'll be doing.
Yeah.
And that got under their skin. You know, you can and take shots at me all you want. I'm totally fine with it. I'm telling you what was told for me. People trust me. You just had Elaine Elliott. One of the greatest things that people can say to me is you were fair, and that's all we can ask for. I covered her program many, many years ago, and I saw her at Dirk Facer's memorial when he passed, and we chatted a little bit, and now we chatted again. And to have somebody say that to me, that's a compliment to me.
It should be.
And so I'm reporting, and I'm saying, and not really reporting, but talking about what people have told me. And we had Ronald Feldberg on and said, we need to tone back the idea that we're different. Sure, we have standards that are different, but just let it speak for itself, because you're going to fall short. We're all human beings. This may be a gross example. You have to let the legal system play out. You know, in this country, you're innocent until proven guilty. So I think that's what you have to do. And the Retzlaff thing, I think, was dismissed and all that stuff, if I remember. But there was still an impending suspension because of the honor code. I don't know what's going to happen here. I hope for the best for all involved, obviously. But that would be my caution, is just let the standards speak for itself and be a little more humble about the standards and just go about doing what you do.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Dave Rose coming up at 9:30. Jimmer Fredette getting a banner raised this weekend. We will get to that coming up. Stay with us.
This is Utah's best coverage of the Utes, Cougars, Jazz, and Mammoth. Here we go. From the guys who have been there for all the biggest moments in Utah sports history. You're listening to DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
John Watson, Northern Utah High School Player of the Week Award, honors the top boys and girls prep basketball players each week during the high school basketball season. Our winners this week, Brian Bernards of Clearfield and Carter Robinson of Syracuse High. Bernards tallied 19 points and 5 assists in a 73-32 rout of Roy and followed up with 11 more points in a win over Westfield. Robinson tallied a double-double, 24 points, 10 assists in the Titans' win at Weber. See why new and used car buyers give John Watson Chevrolet more 5-star reviews than any other Chevy dealer in Utah. John Watson Chevrolet, your 5-star Chevy dealer. PK, as long as we're talking about guys from northern Utah, how about Sam Merrill? You see his game last night? Former Utah State Aggie.
Career high 32.
Career high 32 points. He went out and hit 9 straight shots in the first half. 7 of 7 from 3 in the first half. Of course, now they're playing the Wizards, who are terrible. And
well, I think the bigger
run.
story is how he fit in and be able to benefit from James Harden. Because I think James Harden has scored a bunch of points. He's made millions beyond he could ever spend. So I don't think that he's the ball dominant guy that he once was. And I think he's looking to win. He said that. I'm 36 years old and I haven't won. And so if he can get Sam Merrill open shots with feet set, and it's all about the postseason. It's great that Sam had a beautiful shooting night. But Cleveland has NBA Finals aspirations. As they should, because you've got the Celtics. We'll see if Jason Tatum comes back, on what level of talent he can possess. He's very talented, but how much time does he need? And then you got Detroit, and really who else? And Detroit's unproven.
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Over 2 decades of sports radio dominance in Utah. My favorite. This is DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. PK is reacting with emotion. I am reacting with logic. What will happen? Well, we just have to sit around for 27 games, 1/3 of the NBA season, and find out.
I know, but now it's the most torturous 27 games.
I get that.
Because they have a chance to add a big-time player, and they've already added a big-time player.
Yes, and slotting. When I was in Sacramento forever ago, not 40 years ago, but we're getting there, 35 years ago, Jerry Reynolds, who did everything in that. He was the Frank Layden of that organization. Did all the PR in town. At one point, he was the coach. At one point, he was the GM. At one point, he scouted for him. At one point, he did broadcasting. And they actually knew each other and got along really well. There's of the same era. And he used to say, yeah, people think these guys suck. He says they don't. Our problem is we don't have the guy at the top. So we're asking a guy who could be, if he's the third best guy on a team, you're really good and everybody loves him. But we're asking to be the best guy and he can't do it. And we're asking a guy who should be the first guy off the bench to start. And we're asking a guy who should play 10 minutes a night to play 25. And so everybody gets down on all the players. And then they're like, oh, they go to another team and they shine. They're like, well, yeah, now they're playing with 3 All-Stars. Of course they do. And not just getting Jaren Jackson Jr., but getting somebody that accomplished, such a great fit for a team that's struggling defensively. Now you got a shot blocker behind you. Everybody's a better defender all of a sudden. And another scoring option. Everybody's got more room to do their thing. It was really a good acquisition. The only downside I can find to it is, financially they're going to be able to fit all the pieces in. But, hey, if it were easy, everybody would do it. So there's going to be something difficult here.
Well, those types of players, that's the money they get.
Yeah, it is, 100%. And that is why you are justifiably worried. And I do believe that if the Jazz played all their guys and went after it, they would be at least 500 down the stretch, and probably better than that. But I don't think they're going to play all their guys. The only question is, how many guys are they going to sit, and how often are they going to sit them? And sitting here right now, I don't have an answer to that. I could sit here and guess and say they're going to sit 3, 4, 5 guys.
Well, if they want the pick, they're going to have to.
They may have to sit more than that. And you can say, how they've already taken a lot of heat. Are they going to sit 6 guys?
More heat.
Sacramento literally sat 6 guys last night. That one of their top 7 scorers played. And I don't know why they made DeMar DeRozan play. Maybe they're mad at him. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he's got statistical bonuses he'll hit if he plays and are actually doing him a favor. I don't know what the deal is. I found it a little surprising. But one guy out of the top 7 isn't enough to help Sacramento win anything. And the Jazz ended that game in the first quarter. It was over.
Right.
And then there was 36 minutes of garbage time.
I think if they played all their guys, they would be as good as Minnesota, the Lakers, and the Suns.
Well, that is why we had the conversation that we had earlier this week.
So smack in the middle of the Western Conference.
We had on Andy Bailey, who we've had on the show forever. He's covered the NBA forever, going back to the 90s when he was covering specifically the Jazz. And that is why when next year when people say, hey, they can finish 6th, they can finish 7th, they can finish 8th, I totally get why people are saying that. I don't think that they can catch Oklahoma City or San Antonio or
a healthy Denver.
Or a healthy Denver
maybe
next
Houston.
Year. Those 3 for sure. Houston, right. Let's see what the Lakers do in the offseason. I expect they're going to lose LeBron.
Which would probably help.
If Reeves resigns and Luka, who else do they add? And then how many out of 82 games do those guys play? If there's an injury and one of them plays 40, the Jazz could catch the Lakers for sure. Maybe they'll catch them anyway. I don't know. There's too many unknowns about what teams are going to do with their rosters this summer. But I'm with you. Minnesota, Phoenix. How different are the Jazz than those teams right now? I agree.
And so that's what's got me worried that they won't get this pick. You've come too far to only go this far, as they say.
totally agree with that. They're too invested in 3.5 years of this. Yeah. It's like tank the next 27. I get it's distasteful. I get it's a bad look. If people want to scream, let them scream. Whatever. If there's a fine, this is one of the coolest things about Ryan Smith. He's just going to pay it. You got a Jazz fan. You don't have an out-of-town owner. You got someone who's emotionally invested in this since he was a teenager. He's going to pay the fine if he gets fined.
Yeah,
so
but,
what?
I mean,
so
you
there's
can only
no
ask
reason
him
not
to pay so much.
I get it.
And, with luxury tax and all.
But
I'm hesitant to ask people to spend your money unless it's on me.
And I get that, but nonetheless, I think he's going to do it. So while I'm not demanding it, I'm expecting it. And the two guys that really have to watch, they can sit a bunch of guys. Once you're an all-star, there's different standards about you playing. So Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr. are going to have to play, but they can sit a bunch of these other guys who can win games. I wasn't kidding earlier this week when I said, hey, if they start thinking about benching Isaiah Collier, I get it. I'm not going to complain.
Well, he needs rest. He played 48 minutes, man.
I don't think he does.
He does. He played 48 minutes.
Yeah.
Cramps?
But if he has to sit down,
muscles,
if he has
soreness,
to sit down for a couple weeks, yeah.
Just
hamstring tightness, rest,
passing
whatever.
elbow.
I don't care.
You heard of tennis elbow? Passes the ball.
Yeah, those 14 assists, man. They'll wear you out.
Move over, anti-vaxxer. 14 assists.
They've got 3 games with New Orleans left. I mean, these are just gimmies. They've got another game with Sacramento. They've got 2 games with the Wizards left. I mean, they have some truly terrible teams on the schedule here.
I wouldn't show up if I were them.
And on top of that, Milwaukee, they got to play Portland a couple times. These are very winnable games.
I think every game on their schedule
Memphis,
is winnable.
Yeah, I get it.
If they play their guys. I don't care who they play.
I just don't think they're going to. Man, Austin Ainge hasn't told me anything. Danny Ainge hasn't told me anything. Will Hardy hasn't told me anything. But there's been too much around from people who are wired in the franchise saying they're going to have one of the 5 worst records. And you called it out early this morning, and I can't argue it. Well, maybe that needs to change now that they made this trade. Because not only is Jaren Jackson really good, which he is, he's got his all-star appearances, and he's scoring 20 points in 20 minutes here. But they may have found a couple of nice role players in this too. Certainly guys who can compete in this league with these watered-down teams tanking down the stretch. I mean, obviously John Conchar and Vince Williams Jr. are good enough for that.
Conchar's a lion.
And they may be, if he is a lion, they may be
He's got a tat of a lion. Better. You don't get a tat of a lion. You're a white guy. You get a sleeve attached with a lion. You're a lion. He is the lion.
Steve needs to play. Elijah Harkless needs to play.
And you see,
Blake Hinson
when
needs
he
to play.
scores, when he does something, his eyes, they just light up, man. He is lion eyes.
Sing it. Do you know that song, Christian, or are you just completely lost right now, Chicho?
Well, we might have a breaking news update. I'm trying to verify.
Look at you in there working while we're in here screwing around. This is why he's going places.
Oh, I know he was going places.
I know.
I identified it 3 years ago when I had when I got an opportunity to meet him, and I actually told the powers that be, don't let this kid go.
Yep.
Pay him.
I appreciate that.
I said, if you need to take some money out of DJ's salary, give it to him.
Don't touch PK's.
Right.
DJ's is on the table.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Thank you, PK. I knew I could count on you.
Chris Haynes, NBA insider, tweeting out that Utah Jazz star Jaren Jackson Jr. is likely to miss the remainder of the season, undergoing surgery on his left knee.
The endoscopic procedure, now's the time to do it.
Praise you know who.
Whoever tore his cartilage or roughed it up.
No, I'm going all the way to the top.
Oh, you are? All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a requirement.
All right. There's the first step. It's no longer.
And I wonder if they knew that.
Probably.
So we'll let them play a couple of games.
Why wouldn't they?
And then we'll play them here at home.
At minimum, you do a physical. Unless the other teams are screwing with you, they tell you what's going on.
And the Wizards are saying, how dare you?
The Wizards, who traded for 2 guys and immediately pronounced them out for the year.
I know.
Just go to Cancun, guys.
How could they do this?
The Kings are sitting 6 of their top 7
This is
scores.
tawdry.
Do you buy Scotty G's theory? Scotty G, and people are tweeting back at him going about this.
What?
Scotty, let's be honest here. He tweeted this out. Nobody's worried about the integrity of the game. That got thrown out the window a long time ago. He keeps going. He says, I can't seem to put my finger on it, but maybe it's some fans, all cap, who want to see athletes really duel it out on the court so we can see who really deserves a top spot in the draft, all caps, and become the league's new kings. Yeah, FanDuel DraftKings. This is a gambling thing.
there's 100 things if you want to rip the integrity of the league.
Yeah. But then a basketball account, Hardwood Paroxysm, says, just so we're clear, the books don't care. The risk exposure on a February Jazz game is nothing, and it's all priced in anyway. Go check what the halftime odds are for a tanking team leading the game. Win totals don't generate enough handle to be an issue. So he's saying it's not about that.
Okay, and if it doesn't, then why do it?
Because cumulatively, all of them together make some money and get people hooked.
Okay, so they're making money.
Cumulatively, yes, but not one game's not going to sink them.
Well, the word integrity isn't about a singular game.
Yeah. They're not talking integrity. They're talking about money. No one's getting revved up about this because it's not impacting the bottom line enough. Now, if you go bigger picture, which I don't think they are, and you go back to integrity of the game, well, the whole Chauncey Billups thing, yikes. I mean, with the referee, what was his name? Donahue. Yikes. You know, I mean, there's others higher profile occasionally.
That's why I don't get into that.
I know.
I
know. And
I love the sport. I want to watch the sport. It helps me blow winter nights. Mm-hmm. That's all I care about.
Yep.
And then in the summer or late spring, the competition's off the charts, and it's fun. It's entertainment. And I don't care what this coach says about this guy and this president or this and that, because as you told me, where's money coming from? We can't singularly, like the live golfers took a lot of heat for blood money and all that. Well, are we doing it? And we see this every freaking day. Well, you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. Well, yeah, I'm a hypocrite. I had fully admitted I'm a hypocrite. What's in my best interest? Yeah, I'm not this humanitarian who's going to be winning any humanitarian awards, right? And so it's a freaking entertainment avenue that I enjoy, and let's just leave it at that. And the system is go to the New York and protest there because they set up the system.
I do wonder as the noise gets louder if they're just going to flatten the lottery odds for 14 teams.
And do it, whatever.
I could see that coming.
Whatever.
And that's how it started. As a matter of fact, that's how it started so long ago. There weren't even 14 teams in the lottery because they've added expansion teams since then. It was 7. And I think the Warriors had the worst record, and the Knicks got the number 1 pick and got Ewing, and the Warriors drafted 7th. And people were up in arms like, how are they ever supposed to get better? Well, it turned out I think they drafted Chris Mullin with that pick.
It was good.
They got a dream teamer, right, who led that whole run TMC era. Mm-hmm. He and Hardaway and now I'm blanking. Mitch Richmond. Yes, those 3 were brilliant. Those 3 were so much fun to watch. They didn't have a big guy in an era when you needed it, so they didn't win big. But,
hey, don't be disrespecting Chris Gatling.
Well, sorry. But, out in the second round, best case scenario. But they had a bunch of 50-win seasons, and Mullin was spectacular.
And those are good times.
Oh, yeah. They were. They were absolutely good times. All right, DJ and PK. Well, there's a news.
It's not, the Jazz have announced it.
Yeah. Chris Haynes breaking the story. Jazz are announcing it. Jaren Jackson Jr. likely to miss the remainder of the season, undergo surgery on his left knee to ensure his long-term health. So get a little cartilage cleaned up in there. Rehab, and then he's ready for a summer program and summer vacation and all of that mixed together.
The best 3-game debut in Jazz history.
Fact. Don't you feel better already?
Yes.
You really do.
But I want more.
You're going to, and you need more. You're not up in the night here. I just think they're going to find a way to keep that pick. Bound and determined. And it's harder now because they've added a very good player, and they may have added 2 nice role players as well. So it'll be a little trickier. They'll just have to sit more guys. Stay with us.
For all of you less motivated listeners, it's time for your 9 o'clock. Where the heck have you been headlines?
Where you at?
With DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ, PK, and we are joined now by Dave Rose, former BYU basketball coach. They're going to be honored at the Marriott Center. They're going to be honoring Jimmer Fredette. The good old days. Jimmer, the Mountain West Conference. Dave was coaching in that era. Dave, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How we doing?
Good. Dave, I'm curious. I mean, Jimmer now, you don't even need his last name. It's just Jimmer. Everybody knows it. Was there ever a time when he could have not ended up playing for BYU? Do you ever look back and think, well, we didn't know when he was a freshman and the recruiting process and all that, or was it a slam dunk? It was one of those deals where you knew early on. Sometimes you know what's going to happen 12 or 18 months before it happens, but sometimes you don't really know what's going to happen. How did this one play out when you landed Jimmer?
Yeah, this was, we were kind of nervous the whole time through it because his mom, Jimmer's mom, really wanted him to stay close by because obviously they loved watching him play in person. And Fran McCafferty, this is when Fran and I became actually pretty good friends, is because we were everywhere watching him play for a couple of years, and he was right there at Siena, and so we were pretty nervous for quite a while, and then when he finally committed to us, got his mom's permission to come all the way out here. His dad, Al was always, I think, kind of on BYU's side a little bit. He went to BYU for a semester back when he was a kid, and he thought it would be a good place for him to go. So we didn't really know for sure until we got the mom's approval. And once we got the mom on board, then it worked out pretty good for us.
As I was covering the team during that time, it was a phenomenal time. What a great time to be alive, obviously. And to see Jimmer just take over, I'm speaking of the second part of maybe his junior year and certainly his senior year. And I always thought that, man, if he would have played at Utah in the 90s, that never would have occurred. Let's call it like it is, right? And for you to basically say, okay, this is your ball. Go ahead and do what you think is right. I mean, you had to make I don't know if a concession is the right word, but you had to make a decision to allow it to happen, and we don't really see that very much. So I thought, and Jimmer deserves 99% of the credit, but I thought you too, being able to just say and allowing him to do it, allowing him to flourish, if you would have reined it in, it wouldn't have happened. So just speak to your mindset at the time that you said, yeah, this is something that we need to do.
Well, I think more than Jimmer or more than myself, it was the other guys on the team. I mean, you have to have a group of guys who want that to happen in order to win games, and we felt that was a good way for us to try to close out games, especially. But his ability to score the basketball was unique and really unique for us at the time. And you give guys Jackson Emery and Brandon Davies and Noah Hartsock and Charles Abou. I mean that whole group of guys, they all had to really buy into that, and it could only happen. I mean, it's hard to really try and explain to somebody who hasn't coached a program or tried to deal with 8, 9, 10, 12 different players. These players all come to college thinking that they're going to be the next guy, and then they're going to be the next, player at the next level in the NBA. And what we usually did was kind of dash all their dreams, and there's only a few guys every year that get the chance to be the star, and then there's only, a few guys from there that actually get a chance to go on and play. And so in this case, I really believe more than me or more than Jimmer or more than our coaching staff, it was our players and those guys allowing Jimmer to be Jimmer.
And I get that. There's a lot of truth in that. Convincing 4 guys that they need to defend hard and rebound hard, but they're not going to touch the basketball very often, that's a hard sell. So I totally get what you're saying. But to PK's point, I don't even know how many times I interviewed you, but there are 3 or 4 interactions that really stick with me over time. And I remember asking you, because there was a phase where you gave Jimmer the ball and he went to work, he's on the 3-point line. We all close our eyes and see it, right? Head fake, shoulder fake, step back, he's driving, no, he's hitting a fadeaway 3 or whatever. But then it escalated even more, and he started taking logo threes. And this is before Steph Curry and before Damian Lillard made it semi-normal. He's taking logo threes, and people are oohing and on, and I'm looking at you, and I asked you specifically, what are you thinking when he takes a logo three? Is that his idea? Are you okay with that? And I just had the feeling that you were biting your tongue and your lip until they bled. Was it really hard to let him take 34-foot shots? Or you were just sitting back there thinking, this is awesome. Let it fly, Jimmer.
Well, I think he made it a little bit easier on me because he made most of them. I got a lot of guys who want to shoot him, but the fact that he was such a good three-point shooter, and when he started to move back and show his range, I mean, that's hard for a lot of people. It's hard for a coaching staff. It's hard for to kind of watch that happen, but. When he's making baskets and it's helping your team win, I mean, that's the end goal, and so that's kind of what we went with.
So many great moments of that team that season, his senior year, which what was that, the 2010-2011 season, and you guys went over to Denver, won a couple of ball games over there, beat Gonzaga, and then lost to Florida in overtime. And we, you don't want to hear it, but I believe if you had Brandon Davies, you would have won. But nevertheless, it didn't happen. And the half-court shot against the Utes, I was in the press box there up on the concourse level, and I was also in the Thomas and Mack in the for the conference tournament. And I want to get your opinion. I actually thought the best moment of the season for me was that semifinal game. 18,500 people. Thomas and Mack jammed, packed, and he goes for 53, 54 something, and he takes maybe one or two free throws, and I could just remember him putting on that show, and I'm sitting there in press row, and everybody, it was like freaking watching Larry Bird clips. As far as that goes, I mean, you were just amazed and stunned. Everybody knew what was going to happen, and he still does it. And it was, oh man, it was so awesome. So for me, that was my best moment of that whole entire season. What was yours?
Well, obviously that was a great night. And I think there's a lot of things that, individuals, people who watched it and followed it, they'll remember, about that season with Jimmer. But, that New Mexico game in Vegas, I mean, we've been beat by New Mexico twice, and this Darius Gary kind of had our number. And I don't know if we'd have got him that night if he didn't. I think he broke his ankle that night and didn't play the second part of the second half, and we ended up winning the game. And obviously, the kid was absolutely tremendous down there. But for me, I think it's got to go.
Do your magic, Chicho.
Chicho, make it work. We're getting right to the payoff. Well, for me, it's what, Coach? Call him back.
That was unbelievable.
That really was. That was a heck of an edit right there. That was the exact thing I wanted to hear. And he's literally 2 words away. Bang! It's over. What? Come on. All right, Dave, that was hilarious. You got, for me, and we're hanging on every word and you go away. It was like, that was it. That was the moment. Yeah. So pick it up there. For me, it was.
Yeah, I never was very good at using electronics. So, whatever happened. But for me, it was the next weekend, when we go to Denver and, we get by that first game. The Wofford game was really tough, and then we got through that, and then we ended up playing Gonzaga, which we thought was a one-off, but it ended up being the next big piece of BYU basketball was playing big games against Gonzaga, but us being able to win that game and then get to the Sweet 16. I mean that's I think the most special memory for me because. That's pretty hard to do, I mean, it was really, really hard for us to do in that time. I mean, Coach Young did it in his first year, so it doesn't sound that hard for him. But for us, it was a pretty big accomplishment for us.
Jimmer famously didn't come in. He wasn't a star as a freshman, and it occurs to different people along the way. Oh, wow, wait a minute. Right? Jimmer Mania is his senior year. That's Jimmer Mania, and everybody knows what's going on. For me, it was really clicking in his junior year. He was averaging over 20 points a game. That's a lot in a 40-minute college game. He was your leading scorer and all that. But the game that really jumped out at me was your first NCAA tournament game. You guys hadn't won a tournament game in like 17 years, and you win a thriller over Florida, and he went off. And I can still remember him standing on the baseline doing a post-game interview like it wasn't that big a deal. And I'm like, wow, I knew he was good, and now I realize he's really good. And he isn't even impressed. There's even more there. I mean, I was thinking, how good can this get as a senior? Well, that was for me. I'm not at practice every day. I'm not with him, on the bus, on planes and all that. I'm figuring it out then, late in his junior year. When are you figuring it out like, wow, this is a guy we can really ride to places we don't normally go?
Well, I think, obviously after his junior year, we got the win against Florida. And then, we had we played pretty well, but we weren't good enough to beat Frank Martin and his group. So, but we were that next year trying to get him to come back during the spring. And, I wanted to give him every opportunity to visit all the NBA clubs and get a read from everybody and then make a decision if he was going to, go early or if he was going to come back. And, obviously, the whole time, I feel like the best thing for him is to come back. But I think really that's because that's the best thing for me, for him to come back. But when he actually did come in my office and tell me that that's what he wanted to do, and then not only did he tell me that was his decision, but then came with a plan that he had drawn up, that what he was going to do that summer and what he wanted to accomplish and the things that he was, the reason that he was coming back, not only to improve himself, but to help BYU to advance in the tournament and to be with those guys, to be with his teammates. And even to this day, if you got the guy and went and asked him the most special part about that season, he'll tell you that it was the guys that he played with. I mean, they were really a special group of guys, and they when you take Jackson Emery and Jim are still best friends today, and their families. So I just think that was a special time and a special group, and I hope it happens again in college basketball, but probably won't. I don't know if Jimmer would be able to stay at BYU for 4 years. I know one thing: if we'd handled him the way I handled him the first year, he'd never come back anymore. I mean, that's be long gone. But that's from me watching it from afar. So I just really, I'm happy it happened, and I'm glad we get to celebrate it here this weekend.
You talk about the guys and being able to allow him to flourish. And I think a large part of that, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you're much closer to the situation than I was the humility that the kid had and being around him. I mean, he was getting just an unprecedented amount of attention was being shined on him in this game at that time. And yet he still had that little all shucks, small town kind of guy that he never let it get to him. And even today, you talk to him and he basically deflects and he's self-deprecating and all that. Speak to what kind of kid he was during all this and how that he was able to stay so level-headed when he didn't let the stardom really get to him or change who he was or is.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most unique things about the season. And it all had to do with his personality and his natural way with our team. And I've talked about this many times, but you didn't see Jimmer and one guy hanging out all the time or Jimmer and a little group of the team, and those guys are always together. Jimmer was with a different guy, every pregame meal. He sat with a different guy, and he just had a really good relationship with, almost every single guy on that roster. And it had, I would find out, this, later during the week, whatever, that, he would go out, during the week with this group or with that group or with that group. And that's really unique. And usually guys, especially guys who get to be really, really good and going places in Provo is a little bit difficult. That they get their posse and they stay with that group, and then they find a pattern. That's kind of how they go through it. But Jimmer was different that way too. He loved the people who paid attention to him, and he spent so much time getting from the arena to the bus and all these different places that if the guys ever got upset at Jimmer, that was probably the reason. It was like, hey, come on, Jimmer, let's go. We waited long enough. Let's get on. Let's get on to the next town. But he was a guy who genuinely just loved to be around our team and the group of guys that we had.
I'm hoping when they do the celebration, and obviously they have the 15-year rule, and he's met all the qualifications, that they also announce the Dave Rose practice facility building. I think that's due. I know you're not going to want to address it, but that's what I think.
Yeah, well, the one thing you do know, Pat, is that you covered BYU for a long time, so you could probably write an article about covering BYU and what happens at BYU. And I'm just really happy that I'm around 15 years later and get a chance to see this happen for Jimmer. I hope I'm around to see it happen for a couple more guys, because I have some pretty good players through the years, and I think there's a few other guys that maybe deserve this too. But you think about how long, how many people have played at BYU, and what we've got 2 or 3 guys whose number been retired. So you never really know what's going to happen next. But I'm really happy for Jimmer and his family.
All right, one more thing before we let you go. I told you I remembered a few questions I've asked you and look on your face for some of these answers and big moments. One of them was on a radio show. It was about 2008, I think, maybe in 2009. And we had you on, and you were on the phone just like this. And I remember the studio we're in, which is why I can place it. And you probably have no idea what you said, but it was great advice. And we have quoted it to each other. Do you have any idea what I'm even talking about?
Okay. Come on, man.
Okay, here it is. Here it is.
How can I remember what happened yesterday?
Okay, I'll bounce this back at you, and then you could just think about it. Say it was right at the end of the interview, and you said, "Hey, you two, you got a nice little thing going here. Don't mess it up." You said that, and we have quoted that to each other in troubled times. We're like, well, remember what Dave said. Got a nice little thing going here. Don't mess it up. So far, so good, Dave. We've held on to that advice so far.
It's still rolling.
Right?
It's still rolling. You guys do a great job. The numbers have changed. All your numbers have changed. The number on the dial, the number in your paycheck, all those things.
Our age. How about our age, man? The decades. The number of gray hairs.
But obviously the show is still the best in town. And I know that you guys love doing it. I think that's the one thing that every person who listens to it, they get the same feel from it, is that you love what you do and you love covering, Utah sports. And I think that we all have been lucky to have guys like you that have been able to kind of spearhead the thing for us. So congratulations on staying alive this long.
You too, and I mean it more for you than me.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Well, it's been fun. It's been fun for me.
We love stories, and you provided us with a bunch of stories, and Jimmer provided us with a bunch of stories. So enjoy Saturday afternoon in the Marriott Center, because this kind of stuff is fun, and fans just eat this up. Fans want to look back 15, 20, 25 years and remember the good old days. Doesn't matter pro, college, high school, doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter men or women, doesn't matter how much money people aren't getting paid. Everybody loves that. So enjoy Saturday afternoon.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Dave Rose, retired BYU basketball coach. It's Colorado at BYU. It ought to be a win for the Cougars at home. 2 o'clock, FS1. And they will honor Jimmer. Kresimir Ćosić, Danny Ainge. I don't remember anybody else up there. Is there another one, or is Jimmer 3?
I think they have 1 or 2 women's players.
Okay, yes, but I was talking to men's players.
Men's. I was there covering it when Ainge got his thing.
Yep, I was there that night too.
Seemed like that was long overdue.
Because it was long overdue. I mean, you have to wait whatever the time is.
15.
Right. But as soon as you get there, let's go. Yeah. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
And now, enough of us. It's time to hear from you. From all your texts, tweets, and posts. This is the best feedback of the day.
Ooh, I was there. It's the best game of my life.
With DJ and PK on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan Wealth today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 801-210-6800 or visit the website at TrajanWealth.com. Question of the morning, the Jazz have won 2 in a row. Are you starting to worry about them losing the first-round pick? A lot of people agreeing with Josh. Yes. And will they have to put players on the injury list to stop themselves from winning? They're too good. JJJ is legit on both sides of the ball. Well, since then, there's been breaking news and Big 12 runner-up champs. Am I worried? Not now, not with the JJJ news. He's going to have a procedure on his knee, clean something up in his knee. He's going to miss the rest of the season.
Good.
3 games, got an idea, got a little taste of what he can do.
Just don't do Ostertag and come back 50 pounds overweight.
Yeah, I don't think you have to worry about that. I think he's a little established at this point. We know what's going to happen with him. And he'll have plenty of time. This sounds, I don't know what it is. I mean, it all broke during the last hour, but it sounds like this is the kind of description when they're cleaning up cartilage and somebody's out 6 weeks.
They said it was discovered after the trade.
Okay.
So whoever discovered it, I'd
well played.
I'd give that doctor a raise.
Right?
What do we got here?
All right. So he ought to be ready to go for summer workouts and training camp.
Jazz
what we're hearing now.
Down in the Martinellis as we speak.
That's exactly right. DJ and PK, Ben's up next, right here on The Zone.